Sorry about that. Welcome to Tabletop Fables. Tonight we have the Dogs of M.E.R.C.Y during their descent to Avernus. Sorry about that, I ended the stream instead of changing the screen. So we're back now. Thank you very much for joining us. I am not DM Cody tonight. Tonight I am still Ruse and DM, so we'll see how that goes. But our party is finally regathering all together. Still minus Tonk and Salboran, but we'll see if that might be resolved. So first of all, we'll introduce the players, starting from Kip.
G'day there, I'm Kip, or Cooper, one of the two. Half-elf monk, and currently drunk as a skunk.
I am Blake. I currently love the idea that Cooper is either Kip or Cooper, never in between.
Fully fourth wall.
Yep. I play Raz, an Angenasi rogue, who is probably drinking alongside his friends after avoiding getting arrested for probably the third time in as many days.
I'm Joshua, a hobgoblin monk, and just thrilled to be apparently one of the party.
You're on probation.
You will be on probation.
I think he's in.
The face is rejoining, so...
Hello everyone, my name is Matthew. I'm playing Smoke, a Tabashi nature cleric. I'm currently on the run from the law and paranoid about flying crabs.
Gotta hate them flying crabs.
Oh god,
So met none of them.
so excited.
Yes.
Hey everyone, I'm Maddie, and I'm back! It's been a couple of weeks, and I have been kidnapped. I've been playing cleric. Well, I have not actually been kidnapped. Cleric has been kidnapped.
That'll be a slightly more important piece of news.
Yeah.
I feel like the first person to say it wasn't me then is the guilty one, so I'm not going to say it.
It was Josh.
So it could be you. Alright, so as they said last week, Clariman was still kidnapped. We went through a massive ordeal of dealing with demons and then dealing with the local town guard. But it all resulted in us deciding that the tavern was the best play, and the group is, minus Clariman, currently at the tavern. You've been there for some time, and it is currently bumper compared to how you first remember it when you arrived and helped it back on its feet. There's table dancing, there's new staff members having to run the drinks around, and the halfling man that owns the place is stressing all over the joint. The band is playing jolly jigs, and the mood is high. You do spot a few of the guards from a few days ago, however, the ones that Ruse had promised to meet at the tavern some night. But they're all plain clothes, hair slicked back, hanging by the corner of the room, and they're clearly looking for someone.
Is it boys' night for the guards?
Who knows? Ruse is with you as Alpha Sil. He went back to resolve things back at HQ, where Clariman wasn't yet back, and then rejoined you still in the red jumper and slacks.
He's a little dwarf now, isn't he?
Yes, he's
Right,
currently a little dwarf.
DM, while we start, can I have been trying to palm off as many drinks as possible, getting rid of them, switching them with other people, basically, so I can avoid drinking throughout the entire night?
For sure. Yeah. You've been provided free drinks, and you know, obviously the encouragement with especially Kip around would be take the drink, and you'd go yes, no problems. Yeah. Just as a thing, the tavern keeper has no idea. He thinks that you're maggot.
Hold this goblet, it's empty.
Oh! Hey Kip, look at my next drink that I am currently drinking!
Seems a bit small, my friend. You need a bigger one. Boom! Slam down the entire tankard.
Trying to help you.
Cheers!
Cheers! Kip, look over there! What? Just keep looking! Kip! I'm pouring it into several smaller glasses.
Damn! Because it's the lower district, you know, as Cody said last time, that the lower district guards don't speak to the higher district guard, so you would be safe to come around, and you probably did join us at the tavern. What would you like to be doing while the Three Stooges are playing?
Well, assuming that Smoke has made it to the tavern.
Yes, Ruse.
Okay. Do they serve eggnog? Possibly at this.
No.
Oh shit.
Sorry, it was a 10-hour situation, and no.
Then Smoke would
They
be.
do have eggs, they do have milk.
Okay.
They can
mix that up in an ale.
You can try and describe an eggnog and they'll attempt to make it.
Yep, done.
Yeah.
Smoke would like to be dancing on one of the tables with this concoction, exalted in the fact that he's escaped the law.
You describe eggnog to the best of your abilities, and one of the new staff members, who seems to have a bit of a knack for cocktail making, decides they're going to make that, and they've taken it upon themselves to find all the ingredients, and it's slowed down the line heavily.
Smoke turns back and is like,
Yeah. A few people know that you're from the Dogs of M.E.R.C.Y and are getting free drinks, so they're still quite supportive, and they know that you guys have sort of made this tavern what it is. So most people are patient, but there's a few people that don't know that, and they're just like, "What is this guy? What's he fucking doing?" Anyway, you have your large tankard of eggnog, and you are cranking it out there, so pumped about your situation.
excellent.
Can every single one who's just like, who the hell is this guy? I'm like, I know, right? Just slowly switching our drinks. Like, I know, right? Here you go.
You can develop a smear campaign against Smoke if you want, if that's your aim.
I feel like Smoke does that to himself.
This is true.
By himself.
He does.
Those dance moves are working in his favour, though.
I rolled a natural 18 for smear campaign on Smoke,
Yeah.
so...
Okay, so we'll see how that resolves.
18 months to play out.
But yeah, so after a little while, one of the guards recognises you as someone that was with Ruse's party in the past, and they sort of walk over, trying to be very casual and cool about the situation. But they do start to ask if you know where the woman might be.
You know?
You know the one. You know the one. You know what I'm talking about.
I mean, I do know the one.
Not that we're like only. We're not here then. We're just. We thought they might be here. They said they would.
I haven't. I'll look Raz will look kind of towards where Ruse is, and be like, I haven't seen her in a couple of days.
There's a portly dwarf drinking himself silly.
I haven't seen the woman you're looking for a couple of days now. How many days has it been? Sorry, has there only been 8 days?
It'll be on screen.
Theatre of the mind.
Indeed. How many days has it been? Sorry.
It only would have been 3 or 4 days, I guess.
3 or 4 days, yeah. I haven't, it's the funniest thing. I haven't seen her since we saw you.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, no, we haven't seen her either. Yeah. Just
She'll show up somewhere around, Brent.
Yeah. No, we might be here. We don't know. We might be here. Maybe. I'm not. It's a cool place, man. And they're cheersing waters.
Enjoy your boys' night.
Oh no, it's not like that. It's not like that. It's, we're no, it isn't. It's fine. You have a good one. Then one of them starts to leave towards the door. Yeah, all right. Yeah, see ya. And they both leave.
Never meet a town's guard off duty, apparently. They're such dicks.
They also look a lot weedier without their armor on. They're just nowhere near as strong as the armor portrays.
Poor soft boys.
Is there anyone else dancing on the table?
Oh yeah,
There's anyone
not dancing alone.
anyone of note? Yeah.
Oh, Bruce is pounding the table as well to encourage you and give you a beat, keeping you in time because he doesn't have a drum anymore.
You need to get ready.
Roll perception.
Right, Raz will lead.
What are you in particular looking for, I guess?
Just anyone that might seem like they might want to experiment with a good eggnog.
I was hoping you were a cat man. That's what I said.
Okay.
A natural 3.
And roll a charisma check, please. Straight charisma, no proficiency. This is not your field of expertise. So you're looking around looking for someone with eggnog, and you realize you're above everyone. You're just looking head height. There's a Goliath in the corner. You're like, hey man! And when you slosh out the eggnog, kind of just throw it out and spills on some people underneath you, and everyone starts to get a bit pissy at you and they're pushing the table now. Bruce is still back and encouraging you, but yeah. Your dancing's not as cool as it was previously now, and people are starting to be like, hey, get down, man. You already held up the line with your fucking eggnog. What the hell is that anyway?
Raz is leaning.
It's a thing of fantasy. Here, have some.
I'm just gonna go into a defensive sort of stance because I feel like
they just slap it out of your hands.
I'll try and catch it and catch some of the eggnog in there.
Roll a dex save.
Okay.
And meanwhile, Smoke is just going to shrug and just jump on the floor and start lapping up the eggnog.
18, yeah. You catch the whole, that sort of slow motion stuff. You catch the mug and it mostly spills back into the mug, and it's very impressive.
I'm just going to down the entire thing.
The little bit you didn't catch, as Smoke said, he gets down on the ground and licks it up off the ground. To which the stressed halfling is like, And everyone's off. Too many things to deal with the cat knocking egg off the floor.
Just take it like, just gonna find a quiet corner and sort of place my head against it for a moment, like, this is why I don't drink, and then turn back and be like, yeah, look at the drop, good cop goblin.
Someone walks up next to you like, oh, don't spew in the corner, mate. Like, puts their arm around the corner and hurls you back into the party. But then for after a while, you do sort of group up again as a little group, and roll a perception check, everyone, please.
23.
Bench that dice.
So you clock this very early.
A dirty 20.
Dirty 20?
13.
8.
Yeah.
Not
So
put up 7 fingers.
you're concentrating on not looking drunk, and Smoke's concentrating on finding more eggnog. So you two are a bit busy with helping each other there. But you two notice that the crowd sort of parts a little bit. You don't see anybody moving in particular, but the crowd is parting and darting as a very young girl rushes through the door and weaves her way through the crowd over to your group.
Oh.
And she looks up, sees you, looks around and sees you, sees you. They've seen less of, but understand this is part of it. And you've all been around Mr. Finch.
Uh-huh.
And she says, I was looking for the old man and I couldn't find the old man, and the dwarf man said that he was out in the city, so I looked out in the city and I couldn't find the old man, so I went back to the dwarf, and the dwarf said to look for you guys, and I found you guys here, but I couldn't see the old man, so I went back to the dwarf, and he said, go get them back here, they'll give you a gold. So I ran back here and I found you, and you have to give me a gold. Come home, because the dwarf man wants you home.
Smoke
I
exhales.
flip 2 gold pieces and say, now that was impressive.
She starts to like take you by the hand, and like the hand with the gold, and starts to lead you towards
Down my drink and just put it on the nearest table.
Stay away from my monk.
It's a tiny little girl.
Yeah.
But your memory as well was like Gorda did his little helping thing and said he was going to go. So if she's managed to talk to Gorda,
Yes.
he's home.
Yep.
So yeah, they start trying to lead you out of the tavern, and Ruse is banging on a table, and he's very excited about the situation. But
DM, can Hawk have participated in the eggnog
At the window.
while Smoke was drinking? Only if Hawk wants to.
Hawk's like holding your tankard for you. Like as you're trying to hold it and sloshing it around, he's like gripped onto the edge with his hawk claws, he's like pulling the tankard and stabilizing it for you. But yeah, he seems to have repaired the relationship, but is also like, this guy, am I right? Little bird wings.
Looking at Hawk. I know, right?
So he's the ultimate wingman.
Yeah. Oh! When you said holding it, I was hoping it was
And you get your inspiration.
Smoke would just like to feed him some sort of food from his pocket, whatever he can scrounge for.
Pocket food?
Is it
At a tavern where there's real food, you decide to give your hawk pocket food?
Yes.
Okay, that is his decision.
affecting the relationship slowly.
He needs to live with it.
For the better.
So yeah, a hawk does take the food and sort of holds it in the back end of his claw while still gripping your tankard upright. And then eventually you convince Ruse to leave, and you all head away from your favoured tavern.
I was going to pick him up, but yeah.
I'm trying to
If I don't need to do that, that's good.
I'm just gonna try and sober up Kip, just sort of like monk slap him, like. But that basically involves like getting to the point where you're about to slap him and stop, so that you're braced for it. It's like.
You're actually gonna hit? That's better.
Yeah, it was a glancing blow.
You like flick the nose. Just, that was painful.
Better?
Yeah, a bit.
So as you return to HQ,
Yes.
Gorda is already asleep on a chair with a bottle of wine. It seems to be quite a nice, expensive bottle of wine.
Does he look
No! It was hidden in my room.
You were sharing it with him.
I wouldn't have shared that with him.
Apparently you did.
Wouldn't have been much of a choice after you saved your life.
Wait, who said that?
So yeah, you all enter the door, and Clary is there, a little worse for wear, with quite a deep scar on her arm.
Oh, hey, you're back.
So are you.
You're back.
Yes,
Well,
I am.
All back. Thaddeus is here now, by the way. Meet Thaddeus. Thaddeus, Clary, Thaddeus.
Well met.
Hi.
Who are you and what are you doing here in my house?
She and why are we so friendly to her? She doesn't seem to like me.
She got kidnapped at the same time that we got kidnapped, and we got put in the barn, and she went somewhere else.
Oh, are you a human? This is me asking
Yes.
you. Oh, you've got a token human. That's so cute.
Ruse reaches out and grabs your arm with the scar and looks it over.
Yeah.
I got one of them too! And he turns around and just pulls his shirt somehow through the suspenders and just like rips it on the way through and turns around and he's got a huge, deep, thick scar down the base of his spine, as well as a cut through his tattoo on his back.
I mean, we did kind of know how that happened, but we never did actually ask about it, did we?
Then Rue starts laughing and going over and like pushing Gorder and playing with his beard. Mine's bigger!
Speaking of, what happened with you? The arm thing.
I don't remember much, to be honest. I got sent to a prison cell of some sort, and the shadow, whatever she was, came in, and I blacked out, and I woke up with this massive cut on my arm, and it was bleeding profusely. It happened a couple of times. I just kept on waking up, and my arm was hurting.
When she says Shadakai, can I just like slowly just gingerly walk over and just start looking at the scar?
You may. Do you have a medicine proficiency?
Let's say no.
It doesn't look like that's letting him.
You
I'm
can
letting this random dude.
deception or investigation, but also if she's resisting, it's a disadvantage.
It's a disadvantage.
He's been a friend to us the last.
I just my hobgoblin ears picked up Shadakai. I
Yes.
have some interesting relationships with them. I think they have something of mine. May I?
Very well. Where did you meet this?
In a barn.
In a barn.
It was in a barn.
In some sort of weird shadow prison dimension.
And what were you doing in a barn?
Getting fed to a demon.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
What everyone does in a barn, is it not?
So it was an temporary alliance for the basis of mutual survival.
Yeah, sure. It started as that. Yeah.
What are you still doing here?
Well,
He
then
originally came looking for us.
I helped stop a fight with crabs. I spoke to some goblins. I literally caused a lot of guards to trip and saved a couple of people from getting arrested.
it's true. They still would have been fucked without it.
Yeah. Also, I made a monk best friend for life.
Monk buddies.
And also, he went looking for us for a specific reason.
Oh yeah, yes.
He was looking for the Dogs of M.E.R.C.Y specifically.
Yes, I was disappointed the first time I met them too, but
Fair
I'm slowly learning to like them.
Well, you're on probation. Welcome.
I just take one finger. It's like, there you go. That's all you get.
Bruce sort of slurs his way over and pulls out one of the Shadowkai daggers and be like, "Was it one of these? You've seen one of these?
Yes.
Who was one of these? Well, maybe this one. Not this one." And he tucks it away so he can take it.
Is he actually drunk? Is he actually drunk?
It sounds like it.
Insight check.
You can roll inside if you want.
Absolutely. Oh, that's cost.
19.
You can tell he's acting.
Inside. Yeah. 13.
Yeah, I think he's drunk.
13?
Yeah.
He's maggot.
I'm pretty
And
sure he's drunk.
you reckon it's probably because he's actually a little child, because that's what you think is his real
This
image.
weird child man dwarf thing.
What do you roll?
Freaking.
I rolled a 5 plus.
Yes.
Yeah, no, like 3.
You're the same. You're like, I've never seen Bruce drunk. This is weird.
Yeah.
I lean over and I'm like, I think it's because he's a child inside of a dwarf's body.
He's my age. Or possibly older. I don't know what
He's our age. We've known him since we were kids.
I don't know your age, though, so you all might be children inside bodies.
Skip looks kind of like a child.
We're like just
kind of grizzly.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm definitely like a young adult. So.
Smoke goes up to Ruth. You tried the eggnog, didn't you? Huh?
I'll be back in a moment. I'll just quickly go upstairs and then come back with my wineskin.
As you're all being...
Well, I'm gonna grab. I am too sober for this, and I'm gonna grab that ridiculously expensive bottle of wine and start drinking it.
I'm gonna eye you while I drink my goon sack.
Meanwhile, I'm just like this really fancy, like pouring out fancy bottle of wine and just going.
And while all this has been going on, you notice the child is still in the room. Standing by the door, impatiently sort of tapping their feet, and eventually she pipes up and says, "I need to see the finch."
The finch is rather busy right now, little one.
Dwarf is awake. Do you want to deal with that? You want to deal with the child?
Are we killing children now?
I'll get the Finch. Probably asleep. It's late. It's late. He shushes the child because they're both the same height. And then waddles his way up the stairs.
Finches and drunk people and
The Finch is the old man.
Where's Tonk?
Oh yeah.
Who?
About that. When we were knocked out, we went back to that place where we all got the shit kicked out of us by a demon thing.
Oh fuck, the Garistro?
Yeah, that one.
That's the one.
He's there. I think.
Wait.
We went there, and then when we came back, he wasn't with us.
The Garistro died, and last I saw, last anyone saw, Tonk was sitting on the throne
Wait, you fought a Garistro?
and won, technically.
Well, they did.
I was just digging up shale and rock bits and crabs.
And we killed a giant 13-foot demon.
Wait a minute.
And again, by we, I do mean Tonk.
Go.
And he's still
Garistro?
in there.
I imagine so. He wasn't with us.
Do we
No body?
Nope. He wasn't with us when we woke up in that bar.
Quite a lot, yes.
You remember a duck of cockra in the bar, Thaddeus?
That's
the duck and cock? What?
Duck-a-cockra. It's an Aarakocra, but he's a duck.
They no. What I've seen? No, look, I woke up and saw you guys.
He wasn't with us.
So we've lost
seen
that
since.
spellbook as well.
After a little while, Alistair Finch descends the stairs, comfortably and calmly.
Ah, Mr. Finch.
Still
And
okay.
he says, perhaps we haven't lost the book. There may be a way, but more on that later. Yes, dear child, you came to see the Finch. And he walks over towards the door. Still within earshot of you guys, she lets him know that someone has the equipment that he was looking for. And he genuinely says, and looks to all you all, I don't remember asking for any equipment. Was I with any of you when I asked for equipment?
Have we met before?
Yes. I believe so.
You've seen the old man at least.
You have.
I haven't seen you since we surrendered, so no.
Equipment?
How curious. How curious indeed. He sort of pats the child's head and then suggests that he'll go off and see what this is all about.
Good idea.
So being late at night,
Yeah.
and you somehow see that Mr. Finch is sober when the dwarf wasn't.
Yeah. Not questioning it at this point.
Yeah.
He decides to leave
Okay.
with the child to see what this equipment is all about.
Perhaps it's something to do with the transformation and like the whole metaphysical thing. It kind of just cancelled out the alcohol.
Maybe.
Different
Yeah.
metabolism, maybe?
Yeah. Speaking of, can you put some of that wine into this?
Yeah. It's the changing thing.
Fine.
Well, like behind the 8 ball on this one. Yep. Want to have a mock out?
He was sleeping in the bed. So the dwarf is now taking over, I reckon.
It's so confusing. No one's telling him I'm a changeling. I love it. Because you've never actually seen me do it in front of you.
No.
People disappear in real time.
Josh doesn't know about the changeling or the end of the world. Thaddeus is just like,
Okay, yeah.
okay, cool. I can hang with you guys. I know things.
Think of it kind of like a split personality.
While this is going on, Smoke would like to attempt to teach Hawk a trick.
Okay, sure. What would you like to teach him?
Playing dead.
Playing dead? Alright, roll a animal handling check, please.
No, that's cocked. That's not right up to
It's 1 point.
14.
14? Yeah, early stages, but you do sort of do the whole food thing of like, put the food down near the floor and be like, come for this food, and then you sort of like push him over so he's laying on his side, and then you let go of the food and let him have it. He looks confused at first, but he's like, oh, I get it. You think I'm stupid. And starts to like quite easily follow your instructions, but like still resistant to it because he's like, I don't know why we'd ever need this, but okay, sure thing. And sort of, he's very got a birdie look of.
Can I roll for insight on
But
that?
hey, free
Of
food.
course.
Oh, that's not good. 10.
Yeah, so you're pretty sure that he loves you. But yeah, you, after some time, Ruse hasn't returned and it's late, most of you are drunk, you're steadily catching up.
Get him there.
But yeah, it is getting very late in the night. It's been a very large day. As much as us just starting a new session doesn't make it feel like that, it has been a very, very long day for you all. Most of you are low on spells and whatnot.
We
are we
used all
turning in the
one
night?
Had a short rest.
Can I walk up to Clary? Clary?
Yes.
Clary.
Clarion,
Yes.
be respectful.
Lady Clarimonde, actually. But, you know,
Lady Clarimonde. Is that how you announce when I walk up to you? Lady Clarimonde!
that's lady to you.
It's Flemish.
We haven't had the opportunity to like properly talk.
No.
Apologies. How do you feel about death?
Death. Well, I mean, it's an inevitable thing at some point, but, you know, I'd rather avoid it for as long as possible.
We'll get along just fine.
Okay. So, when you said that you were searching out the Dogs of M.E.R.C.Y, why?
Because I was told that they could. I put my arm around you, just sort of move you to the side. Like I was told that they could find anything and beat anyone, and were quite unmatched in every capacity whatsoever. And I don't think that that's going to come to fruition.
Who the fuck told you that?
You have been around when Ruse has been spreading these rumours through the children.
There are so many children, and so many elderly men who want to speak to them. This city is a messed up place.
I haven't used levitate today. I'll be floating over this conversation.
I think you actually did. This is one of the days you did use it.
Yeah.
Probably.
For what?
I forget, but I remember you used it.
You need to actually keep track of these things. Why do you think I keep notes?
I don't remember what it is.
That's what I got.
That's what we have you for.
This is why Kip and I are paying attention to the fact that we've used all 4 of our key points before we sleep.
It's true.
You are a woman of class, it seems.
Indeed.
Do you know of any fine weapons, black markets, sort of individuals who would have a penchant? It says with a real bile behind it for collecting weapons.
Would I know?
Roll history if you want.
History? Alright, let's go
16
for it.
DC for black market stuff.
Well, no, I don't think that will. Let's have a look.
That's a solid.
That's a 9. But if I had guidance, maybe. Hang on, let's see. So 6, 9. Not quite. No, 12.
You know of a market that sells black weapons, but not a black market per se. And you understand what he means by it, but
Yeah.
there is the contemplation with your little trickery mind to be like, yeah, I know of a market that sells black weapons.
Well, black weapons maybe, but I mean, I'm sure given this city there must be somewhere, but I personally am not aware of it. I must admit, I've only been here for a bit under a year now. Haven't really gone to the slightly more unsavoury parts.
Well, if we do, and you can pull a bit of class into it.
If anything, a bit of class would scare them off.
Fine. If you hear anything about a scythe, let me know as I walk away, dismissively.
Scythe. Noted.
Being that Ruse is away, everyone rudely offers you Ruse's bed for the which you notice this has a very, very strange wardrobe next to it of just a very standard array of clothes for any and all forms.
Can I just look through it for
Oh, yeah.
Can I look through it for what I'm looking for is for a sun hat and
Definitely.
a maroon blazer.
There's a maroon long coat, like a tails coat.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Putting that over the top.
Playing dress up.
Yeah. I'm gonna
You have to sift through a Toreador costume as well on the way through and all sorts of things.
mental loot.
But are we all engaging in rest?
I believe so.
think so.
I was just going to pull Clary aside quickly before that and just sort of go up to her and when everyone else is gone. So, how did you make your way out? Because we had Gordar come and break us out after we got out ourselves halfway. It was weird, but
Yeah.
how did you get out?
Similar. Gordon was wearing some kind of robe, something. It was like he was sensually blending in, I guess. And, I mean, I must remember, it's a bit hazy to be honest. I was still quite woozy. I don't know what they did to me, but yeah, he guided me out through the rooftops to avoid being seen, so yeah.
Fair enough.
Thankfully, I had my compass on me because I still don't know where my shield is, so.
That's not a good thing.
It really isn't. I mean,
Because we woke up with all our equipment and stuff.
Well, I mean, I was being kept prisoner, so.
That's true.
But yes, thank goodness I had that damn compass that I picked up earlier. I mean, because thankfully it worked. I was worried there for a second, so I managed to at least heal this up a bit. So.
You want something else for that? And I'll just sort of like pull out like a bandage and just.
Nah, it's already scarred up. I don't mind it. It looks pretty cool. I'm fine with it.
No worries. Just start wrapping it on my arm from the one that I can't.
You know, I can help you with that.
Oh no, it's kind of a ritual, I guess.
More a wrist brace than a bandage.
Okay.
It's for his carpal tunnel syndrome.
So
I can punch things harder.
So after about 2 hours of actually resting, there is a bit of a stir downstairs of the door opening and shutting a few times and heavy footsteps, but nothing coming up the stairs or anything, just, noise. And then after a little while, when you do start to get your eyes closed again, there is more noise. And it starts to be a lot of clanking and flame and all sorts of things going on downstairs. And the sounds of machinery starting to work.
Did I hear correctly? Flame?
Or flame.
You can hear flame. It goes up and then it goes down quickly, but it's, every now and then intermittently quite obvious that there is flame.
Damn.
Worth investigating.
I would have been sleeping like with my back to the wall, foot like near where sort of the door opens, it sort of just catches it. Do I feel like anything like it's getting warmer?
You don't feel any heat, no. But as the footsteps came in, that's what woke you up. Is you were leaning against timber, and like the house was shaking from heavy things being moved. Not like shaking, but you know what I mean.
You're coming in.
With monk response times, you felt vibrations.
My monk senses everything.
No.
Are we all trying to go back to sleep?
I think Clara is. She's had a rough time of it.
I'm going to investigate that shit.
Sure.
It's fire in the house. That seems bad.
Wake up.
Yeah, let me just double check that. Yeah, no, I didn't wake up.
It's like days at least.
Smoke will investigate as well.
Okay. So Smoke and Raz head downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
You walk through the doors and see that both alchemy sets from the bag have been set back up again in the basement. Along the back wall, there's like a layback chair in the center of the room.
Right.
With some cables and stands next to it, all with runic patterns glowing along them.
Uh-huh.
And Ruse is in child form with his suspenders. No shirt still because he ripped it off earlier. And the boomerang is walking alongside him as he works feverishly, rushing about with the alchemy sets and facing away from him.
Buddy, what are you doing? Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. What's happening?
Hey, champ, let's get you back to bed.
And in a soft voice, a female voice, he says, "We don't have a lot of time." And then he starts racking up vials of pale liquid in a tube rack next to you.
Do you need some help then?
He starts checking temperatures on other vials and pumping a little foot pedal next to him, and you see the little flame continues underneath the boiler.
A lot of gobbledygook is happening, yes.
And then eventually Ruse turns around and he does seem his normal self, pale grey skin, slightly crooked features, but you've come to notice that seems to be happening to him over the years. As he takes more masks, his normal features sort of follow them. But his eyes are not the usual pitch black. They are deep blue with what looks like clouds floating by in them.
Oh.
Smoke is transfixed.
And once again in the voice, he says, "The connection isn't strong. I don't know how long it will last. Ruse is exhausted. But we should have enough. Get the others. Sit. Hold. And don't say my name, or they'll find me."
Okay, that was two very conflicting commands. Smoke, you sit. I'll get the others.
Smoke sits like a dog.
Yep, so she guides you over to the layback chair. Well, Ruse guides you over to the layback chair.
Yeah, and I'll go wake up the rest of the immediate party.
You both know this voice. It's not one that Ruse has mimicked before.
Yep.
But you can't really put a mask to a name. but you can roll history if you want to try
I mean,
and be sure of something.
sure. I mean, that's.
Touch the tray. Does that mean I can roll it again?
So, like,
Let's see if this
It's not a number I like. Can I make it a different one?
natural one.
11.
You know it's someone that you've met. You
I mean,
have no idea.
Yes.
I mean, okay. Blake has figured it out, but
Yeah.
The character hasn't.
yeah, I know.
It's Lady Clandestine. Oh, the Clandestines.
Yeah.
So you head upstairs and grab the others. And do you wake up?
Alright.
I mean, the door opens.
How are you waking us up?
Yeah, exactly.
How am I waking the two of you up? I mean, for you, I'm probably just gonna like flip you out of bed. Whether or not that'll work is another thing. Yeah. There it is.
I'm sitting with my foot near the door, so I'm waiting to see what happens.
I'm not actually touching your door because of
Metagaming.
oh damn it!
You think I'm in bed?
You're part of the others.
Knock on it, Alex.
I will. Well, not loudly.
Just
Okay, for you, but it's like Ruse has made a connection with someone, and they're making something downstairs with the alchemy sets. They said to grab the others. I don't know who it is. Come on, come on. Up and down, up and down, down and up.
Put some pants on.
You do that. And then I'll go to Clary's room.
Smoke is sharpening his claws while he's trying.
Yeah, I'll put my belt on.
Raz will probably be a bit more delicate with Clary, just like poke her in the shoulder, just like try to like shake that a bit. If that doesn't work, like just boop her on the nose a couple times.
a couple of times.
I think I was going to flick it. What?
I'm busy putting pants on, actually.
Is that what you tell her when she wakes up?
Ruse is in the basement. He's made a connection with someone, and I think they're making something with the alchemy sets downstairs. They need help. They asked for everyone. They said connection. His eyes were sky blue with clouds in them for some reason. They were also insistent that we don't say their name.
Okay, that sounds like possession, but alright.
Yeah, connection, possession.
I'm just gonna stumble over and say, where?
Basement.
Come on, let's go.
As you're sharpening your claws,
I'm still in my room.
as you sharpen your claws, this Ruse walks over and puts their arm on your shoulder and says, "It's so good to see you again," and then walks on and continues working around with the machinery. You don't know who it is. Dice, control this game.
I will knock on Thaddeus' door in a loud fashion.
When you say loud, you're like violent.
Well, the others are up now. He doesn't have to keep anyone asleep.
Friend or foe? Friend, I think. Definitely not foe.
Yeah, I move my foot away from the door. Stand up, put the sun hat back on. Yes.
Questions for later. Ruse is downstairs making something with alchemy sets. He's got weird sky eyes. He said to wake the others and get their help, so come along. You're part of the others.
Okay, I just close the door for a second. I go over to the cupboard and just grab like an armful of things. Like, what could you possibly need?
Of Ruse's clothes.
Yeah.
What could you possibly need right now?
So that's like a 16. So like, and just like open the door. I'm like, just in case we want to play dress up, and then I put it over my shoulder. We can only live once.
Yep.
I mean, currently all I have is a pants and belt.
Oh, I just randomly give you like a Toreador costume. There you go.
I'm going to finish doing up
Probably
my
takes some
belt.
time to get out of her nightgown and back into her armor because she has no idea what she's going to face.
Another 2 pieces of clothing.
You can roll history again with advantage.
Literally
after she went over to you.
At this point, I just imagine Raz and jocks.
That 8?
Okay. 8.
It was 10.
So you know it's someone you've met, like you have heard this voice before, but not from Ruse, and it's confusing the hell out of you. And like you struggle with women anyway, and you're just like, why does Ruse have to do female voices all the time? Why can't he just do his voice and be a normal guy? This friggin' weird dude. I hate this guy. 25 years of bullshit.
Are you guys taking armor class hits because you're in your pajamas?
Oh, I wore my clothes. I wore my monk
Not the
stuff.
monks.
Oh yeah, monks. No, not the monks. He can be. But me, however, I've been butt naked.
If you have more armor than when I don't have when I do have clothes.
Comes down to our dexterity and our wisdom.
So at the touch of the arm and the feet,
Guys.
touch of the arm and the female voice, and with all that confusion going on, Smoke feels a familiar sense that he hasn't had in a while, and part of the verbal starts to fall in his throat.
And very, very quickly, they rush over from the alchemy set with a bucket and just have it at a perfect distance from your throat. And they wait.
Do they talk more?
No, they just hold it there.
And the verbal stays there.
And then they move the bucket down to the floor and go back to what they were doing. But yeah, so you all come down and you see the same thing. Bruce is there with blue eyes with a sort of cloudy pattern across them as he's working.
What's happening, Rose?
Very quickly, without responding initially, he opens a small panel next to the head of this layback chair. A small wooden board slides out, and as Ruse looks at it, an image begins to burn into the panel. You've all seen this image before, except for you. Mm-hmm. In fact, you can mostly all see it now. So you have seen this image before. I'm sorry to lie. It's on Ruse's back. It's a dream catcher, like Ailey used to hang over all of your beds when you were little. But Ruse's has a scar across it. This scar seems as fresh and as deep as the scar down his back. He motions to the chair and finally responds to you all. Quickly now, yes, Kip, all of you. I'm not sure who you are, but I do need all of your help, I'm sure of it. If I give my name, they will find me. I need you to find me first.
Okay. Reach out and just sort of tentatively be like.
While she's speaking, motioning with hands, you just reach out and touch her fingers, and Ruse is just shakes your hand a little.
I was gonna see if you were actually there because you said fine.
No, sit. And she motions to some boxes in the corner, and
I drop armfuls of waistcoats and dresses and just
History check for the rest of us?
I'll put on one of those waistcoats.
No, I don't know who she is.
I mean, I won't
it's been
check.
a long time since you've heard this voice, but
Yeah.
I got worse. It's 10 now.
Yep. Oh, it's so confusing. Ruse is a confusing guy.
5?
Yeah.
If it's
so,
yeah.
None of you know who she is, which is great.
What about Hawk?
Hawk doesn't. He's just
Hawk knows the answers, but will never share them.
Anyway, she then heads over towards the chair with you and leans in and says, "Don't worry now. Ruse's hands are quite skilled." And he begins to take some of the pale vials across and place them on a rack near the chair, and goes over and takes some black vials from over by the chair and places them on the other side. Then, pumping another foot pedal at their feet, begins to offer a tattoo. Where would you like your tattoo?
Oh, forehead.
Yes.
I appreciate
So,
that.
as you start to hear the whir of a needle, and I'm not sure how you are with needles, but it's quite a thick pinprick. But he's pretty good with blades, right?
Trust him.
So as he's pumping on the foot pedal, the needle's going back and forward at a reasonable speed, and you see a tube alongside of it that's seeping the black ink towards it. As Ruse is tattooing you and being very careful not to hurt you, he explains in Ruse's voice, "These will keep you safe from the dungeon traps. Don't let the lines be broken, as mine has been. The dream plane is very dangerous, you all know this, but it's the strongest connection that she can make. We need to travel, and I will be your compass." And over time, he finishes Smoke's tattoo on his forehead of a dream catcher. It's very thin, looks like he hasn't used a lot of ink to get it done, but it's clear enough that you all know what it is, and it matches the scorched image on the headboard. Then quickly, Ruse turns to the rest of you and asks, "Who is next?" You don't have to have it on your forehead.
I undo my monk sort of garb, and you see scars scars and like little tattoos, and there's like a large skull, and I'm just like, under there, please.
So she brings you over and lays you back on the chair and sort of pushes you onto your side with a pillow, and makes sure she finds a clear patch of skin without scar tissue to make sure that the tattoo holds. And then go through the process again with you, again trying to be very careful to be light and gentle.
Be firm, I don't mind.
Again, going through the next person who's up.
Yeah, I'll go.
And where would you like it?
Well, underneath the one I already got in the back, so like lower down.
So you sort of have to face like straddling the chair the opposite way. But, yeah, very gently works over the area. Raz, Clary, where we want to
Go back of the right hand.
Back of the right hand, no worries.
Clary is very much not someone who likes the idea of permanence, but she'll go, okay, well, I've already got a scar on this arm, might as well get a tattoo on this one.
Sure. So on the right arm.
Yeah.
Then you symmetrical.
Yeah.
It's only as long as you're alive.
Roll perception over time, so roll with advantage.
Everyone?
Yes.
21.
Nice.
I didn't get to roll above a 4.
15.
Burn the shitty ones early.
11.
Smoke.
20.
20. So you two spot this often during the time. You sort of catch it during Clary's tattoo, I think, at the end. Over the time that he's tattooing you all, Ruz's eyes occasionally cry. And they do sort of blink to the blue cloudy eyes and back to the black frequently, but he is crying every now and then. And this is what you notice as well during the last one while he's doing Clary's arm, he's leaning very heavily on Clary as if he's struggling to keep himself upright. And on the last line, as he curves around, you see these run out of black ink in all of the chambers. And he hangs up the needle, cleans off the tip, dips it in water to clear the lines, gives it a little last spurt with the foot pedal, and then has a little smile and falls to the floor. And in the female's voice again, he says, "Drink the white vials. Give one to Ruse."
I'm just going to go ahead and grab one and get it to Ruse as soon as possible, given that he's collapsed on the floor.
Yeah. While it was falling, could I have like tried to like
Of course, you can brace him as you go. Yep.
deflect missile?
Yeah, I'll probably also do the same, and as we catch, just sort of, do we know you?
You've met me, yes.
I met you.
You will.
Ominous. I like it. I like that.
And I'm just trying to get that potion in as soon as possible.
You mustn't say my name. And she looks directly at Raz when she says this, knowing what you're like.
As long as we're around you.
Just don't say my name.
Okay.
And then as he takes the vial with the right hand, his left hand reaches to the sky, and a spell you've never seen him cast before launches from the palm of his hand, and a gentle glow resonates around your whole group like a protective shell. As I assume at this point you've all moved in towards the chair.
Well, helping crop up.
Yeah. I'm braiding like a scarecrow. Smoke is assisting with his tail.
Yeah. So the dome passes over the group, and the voice once again says, "Quickly, Ruse is weakening. This won't be like the other times. It will happen in real time. We will need the dome to protect us in case it takes too long."
What kind of freaky shit did I sign up to?
Oh, I had too much eggnog.
Welcome to the Dogs of M.E.R.C.Y. Come on, let's drink those vials.
Yeah.
What?
Ruse takes the vial and drinks it.
Click, 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 click.
Bottoms up.
So beautiful.
I dropped the child. Stay away from my monkey.
Inspiration So yes, you all, I don't find that it's like an instant knockout kind of thing, but you do feel very restful, and you sort of gently lower Ruse to the ground. You all sort of rest in a very friendly friendship pile kind of manner next to the
Snuggle pile.
almost
I'm dragging values into it.
tattooey dentist chair.
Smoke is sleeping on someone's face as cats do.
Of course.
It's probably Kips.
Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4.
A last minute perception check, please, from everybody as well. Just a normal roll.
Finally.
22.
That's the highest roll I've done so far, and it's still only.
Nice.
Smoke is sleeping on your face.
Are there any under 13?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes?
I'm going to roll with mate.
Oh, sorry, that's what something else. 14.
Yep. So the 3 above, you notice that Ruse is again crying a little bit, but this time his tears are white and they're coming out very similar to the liquid that he drank. And he's shaking. As you all drift off, much like the other times, you feel as if you're leaving your bodies, but you don't see it like you have a few of the times. You don't sort of take this ethereal form and leave your body. You just feel it happening as your eyes are closed and it is dark. There also doesn't seem to be any travel from your bodies. You just open your eyes and you are somewhere else in a burst of light and scorched earth.
Oh, someone turn down the lights.
I was going to say, not unlike what I'm currently looking at.
Did anybody just suddenly, sort of wet themselves, but instead of wetting themselves, they just felt like their body shifted in planes? Yes?
It's like the thing where you feel like you're about to fall asleep, but you don't, and you're like shocked.
Yeah, you fall and you're but then you're in the plane of fire.
It is hot.
That would explain the heat and light.
I'm so glad I'm wearing a sun hat.
Smoke is just hissing. Everyone hates fire.
It is very hot. The air is thick, and you're all almost immediately sweating. Even the air genasi and even your elven skin. You are on the verge of sweating, if not profusely.
I was like, even the Air Genasi who was wearing a pair of jocks and a waistcoat.
Correct.
What colour thing, the over thing, did you give me?
Oh, the Tory dog?
Yeah.
It's like greyish black.
They're usually red with yellow trim, so it's very fancy.
I tear a red strip out of it because I left my headband on.
Nice.
I left my everything behind. This is bad.
Ruse has his bag on.
Never
You
changed.
have your bags and gear, and
Someone want this?
Ruse. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. But you have your bags and gear on. You don't have your shield.
Okay.
It's, yes, as I said, it's very hot. The ground around you is cracked and dry, but a solid floor. There are a few burnt trees still standing sparsely across the landscape. But yeah, it is a desert, and you are quite central to it as you look forward. Again, looking forward, you see a tower. It's shimmering in the distance, almost like a mirage, but it is very far away, and by all accounts, it's real.
Hey guys, look. Plot hook.
And behind you,
He does that sometimes, don't worry.
behind you is a deep rumbling sound. And I will turn this on as well.
Oh.
Oh, the bus is here.
What was that?
I turn
What is
around.
that?
Yeah. Immediately defensive stance, just
I turn around and rub my eyes. I'm still very tired.
And probably hungover.
I mean, the pain woke me up a bit.
You
but-
will all, if you
some
need
milk.
it, succeed in a long rest during your travel.
Cool.
So if you want to update sheets however you need to and
Good.
restore things.
I'm going to take that to mean I have levitate back.
The smell of burning oil and fumes is in the air. When you look behind you, you see 3 visible suns, and the sky is deep, deep red. But more importantly, behind you is 3 vehicles. One looks like a thin cart with only 2 wheels, a kind of chain in between the wheels, and it thrums with arcane energy. The next is similar, with a small cabin next to it, with another wheel. They seem to be built of bones and skins and melted steel, and the handles are made of sword hilts. But standing tall next to these is a beastly, beastly construction, looking like almost a mole. With chains around the wheel tracks alongside, a turret on its back, and a glass dome near the front. Steel plating encasing the majority of it, but a layer of twisted demonic bodies seem crushed in the undercarriage, forming a layer of protection. All humming with a seeming arcane energy.
So, the fuck is this? Am I dreaming?
The fuck are those?
I think we are dreaming, actually, for once.
And standing on top of them is your good pal, Ruse, leaning heavily against a thick pipe that's spewing dark clouds into the sky as he tosses the body of some devilish imp from the top. He's thoroughly exhausted. I could not get us closer, but I had some ideas for travel.
Rose, hi, Thaddeus, Hobgoblin.
Yes,
Did
you
you
in the front.
Yes, did you drug us and drop us into some sort of psychedelic experience? I've never done narcotics before. I don't know what's happening.
You should really do it more often. It's pretty
You
good.
really shouldn't. At least a lot of shit like this.
You are in the dream plane.
Cool.
And what is the dream plane replicating?
Dreams and occasionally nightmares.
Mostly nightmares, I don't
This looks like one of my dreams.
And the boomerang climbs up the vehicle out of the body of the creature that he threw down and climbs up his leg and into his hand. He's sort of scanning the horizon, but still leaning heavily on this pipe and is exhausted. But when he sees the tower that you all saw before, he points and says, "It is her. Don't say her name, but it is her. Now is our chance." And there's a beacon that is now streaming out of the top of the tower.
Okay.
It's a light blue light shooting off into the clouds. He says, "We need to get there fast. They know that we are here."
Okay.
Alright, so how do we do?
Maybe.
What?
Nightmares.
Okay.
Slowly make my way closer. Just like,
I'm gonna run up and
Yeah.
climb in. Let's
I'm-
go.
I'm
Up
sorry.
into the tank.
Some decisions to make. You have what is colloquially going to be called a tormentor and 2 devil's rides, one with a side carriage.
Devil's Ride, obviously.
Devil's Ride, sidecar,
Yeah.
monk bike.
Yeah, monk bike.
Monk bike immediately.
Yeah.
Wait, can we both like run to it and then like to be like, oh, it's
As far as
Get in the tank.
Captain of a ship.
as far as vehicles go,
Hi, Captain.
you will be able to
My
use
first mate.
you will be able to use vehicle proficiency if you have it. Thinking about that, the Tormentor is obviously a larger vehicle. It would be good to have capable people in control of it. A Devil's Ride has the capacity to carry 1 medium creature, except for this one with a side carriage. Now that's to carry 1 creature comfortably. You can all hang off the 1 bike if you want. There's nothing to say you can't.
Hey guys, we got the monk bike. Everyone jump on the monk bike.
There are actions and whatnot that you'll be able to take, but we'll get into creativity of that later. The Tormentor, on the other hand, can take 4 medium creatures comfortably. 1 in the driver's seat, 1 in the harpoon flinger, and 2 in general areas to assist and do what they need to from there.
Sorry, the harpoon flinger.
Oh, I'm driving.
It's like a,
Yes, sure.
If that's okay with you guys.
it's like a big
Do you
crossbow.
have proficiency?
How does one have vehicle
I'll just wish
proficiency?
a bonus.
Well,
You'll be a sailor.
Oh, well, I'm glad that I'm the
You'll be a
first mate.
soldier, sorry. We'll give you land vehicles, but yeah.
well, Captain.
Being that these are an amalgamation of a lot of things, any vehicle proficiency I'm happy to take as capabilities on this. But yes, so you guys need to decide what of these vehicles that Ruth has procured for you we're going to take and use.
Well, Captain, I think you want to take the helm of the big one.
Hi, that's not a way to talk to you, Captain.
I mean,
First mate.
he is. I mean, I probably could. Any else of you ever piloted or captained a thing?
I was pretty good on a boat once.
He was.
That's also fair.
That's fair. Well, this one. All right, what do we got? We got 2 things that look small and maneuverable, and then we got 1 thing that looks big.
And it flings harpoons.
I mean, I appreciate that.
I feel like potentially we want a few people to go ahead on the smaller ones, and then
That's what I was.
at least one. Actually, no, because we don't want to leave one person all out on their own.
Well, I was thinking that's where the monk bike could come in handy because we're both really good in the scrap, and I can see I'm pretty decent at navigating,
And then
operating, and
we
then
provide cover.
yeah. And you said you're good with a ship. You can drive the big one, right?
Yeah, so it means I don't have to directly hurt somebody.
That is a good idea. I like
The front end of this vehicle is like a giant drill.
Oh, it's like a giant crossbow. Come on.
Captain, a moment of your time. Just
All
take
the
yes.
positions.
So there is the harpoon flinger as one of the action stations. The helm is an action station. The other 2 would just be being on the sides, but in a comfortable, not just hanging off, easy picking.
Or I could take the bike.
Or you could take a bike.
Captain, a moment of your time. Just it's like, we're gonna trust Smoke with a thing that can let you just drive and stuff.
I mean, have you ever? You know what? have a bit of luck. I have a bit of faith in the luck of this situation, and if you would have noticed the tattoo on my back, and then the symbol of Evander and all that. I have some faith in the luck of this situation, and worst comes worst, we can dial that the way.
I goddess of death has granted me with the power of luck, so if I'm targeted by the vehicle, I feel like in some sort of if we were talking dice metaphors, you'd have to roll with disadvantage.
I mean,
Rose makes his way down the vehicle and puts his hand on your shoulder and says, in times like this, it's very important to have faith in those around you.
in all honesty, I kind of want to see what happens.
Okay.
I think it'll be quite funny.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Smoke and yourself got me out of a very tight pinch. Then I will trust you all with my life.
Oh, thank you. I mean, just you.
Meanwhile,
that's
this
the
is
big one, I think.
Rose is going to take one of the non-action station positions.
Yeah.
He has some ideas, as he has been here before.
I did, man.
yeah. Meanwhile, as this is going on, Smoke is imagining a wheel in his hands. He's like,
Woo! Yeah! You're imagining that as the dome opens up and you get in, it's all levers. But they're all like sword hilts as well, so it's very much like built of old steel. Quickly in the process though, Ruse sort of leans down and points to the major levers and the main gas pedal in the center.
Don't touch that one yet!
No brake, only gas.
Smoke instantly wants to touch that one.
I'm just gonna go over to that singular motorbike. I'm like, well, it can't be much different from riding a horse.
It's about the height of you, like you do have to climb to mount it.
So
kind of
it's a
thing.
horse, kind of thing.
But yeah, it looks bloody sturdy as hell. You get the idea that horse jumping that you've done as a kid,
Yeah.
the richies do.
Yeah, going out hunting.
You could probably horse jump pretty high on this thing.
Oh yeah.
As well as some of the like horse stunts that you learned, like juking around on a horse. You feel like you might be able to take those kinds of actions.
I climb into the sidecar, so I sort of
Alright.
makes me think of my lifelong time hiding in barrels. I'm like,
That tracks because Kip's got the proficiency of driving.
yeah, exactly. That's first mate.
And probably higher deck saves and things like that too. You'd use the deck saves of yourself or the vehicle, so you can make that choice when the time comes.
Alright.
You want to be on the harpoon?
Absolutely.
Not a problem.
Give me the biggest gun, yes.
So
How will I possibly get sneak attack with this?
the way this is going to work is each person is going to tell me what they're going to do in this action round without knowing what the enemy's going to do.
Right.
We will then take those actions and see what the results are. For now, you see plumes of smoke. Not that one.
This
Opposite direction to the tower.
Right.
Starting to rise, shimmering in the distance. And a kind of hum of more vehicles seems to be happening at a distance.
This suddenly got very Mad Max.
suddenly.
And you realise it might be time to figure out how to make these things move. Ruse passes out.
Oh, I can handle some instructions.
You saw a small vial of this
those.
when, well, you didn't, but you saw a small vial of this taken from the trees in the reverse gravity place. He hands that vial to Clary first and just pours a little bit onto the engine. Not into, not through a slot anywhere, just straight on the engine. And it thrums to life. And it's humming and it's starting to almost seem aggressive. He then turns around and pours a tiny bit on the engine of yours.
We're messing with
I'm
power.
like wearing the edge at this point.
And basically like V.
And the last tiny bit of the vial he takes into the machine and hands to you. He says, when you're ready, pour it down that chute. And points you to what looks like a slot.
Okay, Smoke does so.
And the vehicle kicks off even louder.
Smoke is out the window just like that. Oh, why? Tonk, you would have loved this.
So,
Is Tom getting around the screenplay?
Oh, I hope so.
find out.
Can I give the harpoon flinger a practice shot? But also, is there an obvious amount of ammo?
Yes, there is. But yeah, you can take practice if you really want.
How much ammo can I see that we have?
Where are you intending to fire it off?
No, I'm asking how much ammo we have first.
You have 10 shots.
Whoa.
They look like sharded tin, like steel. They are vicious looking harpoons.
Right.
But there are 10 of them, yes.
Okay. Well, I guess we're going to find out what this is like when it's necessary then. Onward.
Going through like the sidecar, is there like anything in there, or is it just like enough for me to sit?
There are controls, they're like levers and buttons and whatnot, but, you know, do you really want to test them out early?
Not yet, but I'm just gonna be like, Captain! Yeah, things for me to play with! It's my bike!
Same thing, there's a lot of levers in like upper panels, but the main ones that Bruce has shown you are just the controls for steering and maneuvering, and your memory of the ship and whatnot, you're like, you can probably figure this out pretty quickly.
Cool.
From there, the engines begin. And
Kip,
what would we like to do in the first action sequence as you are being approached upon?
Kip would loudly like to start a cappella-ing through the fire and the flames.
The song of my people!
Hellfire!
Smoke calls down to Raz. Shall we ride?
Don't need Kip.
Oh yeah.
I'm in the gunner seat of your vehicle, my dude. I'm above you.
I feel like that tattoo messed with his brain a little bit.
Like it wasn't
Does my
right.
voice carry to where the harpoon slinger is?
Yep. You can speak quite clearly to anybody on your vehicle, and if these guys stay close, you'll be able to speak to them as well.
Who has message?
For as long as there isn't such a large amount of vehicles. While there's only 3, you can still speak loud enough to hear each other. But yeah, at the moment, you've got 3 engines humming along, ready to go. As a bonus action, you can take off. All your movement and whatnot is much the same as a normal movement. You'll move your normal speed. If you stop changing your speed, you'll just continue in that direction and that speed until you change it. You can use a dash action to increase your speed and pedal to the metal, or you can take other actions during this time. What would people like to do, knowing that you are being approached upon and the tower is directly ahead of you? It's flat ground for all you can see so far.
Bonus action takeoff.
Yeah.
Bonus action takeoff.
How far away does the tower sit?
The tower seems very far. It's like a shimmering mirage in the distance, but it's clear that there is a tower, and there is, as Ruth pointed out, a beam of light shooting into the sky from it. It's pretty easy to spot.
I would like to figure out how to turn this turret.
Beacons are lit.
I was gonna say that, we take off and I'm like, yeah, sun hat.
Yeah, there's no strap.
I didn't get a chance to... we can't come back! Wait, so like, is the sidecar to the left or the right of the...
Where would you like it to be?
I would like it to be the left.
Then it is.
We're gonna go back!
As the sun hat comes off, can I just like grab it quickly?
Go for it. Dex save.
I feel I could have done that, but okay. It's whatever.
But you didn't.
Yeah.
So then, straight out of the movies, the hat flies off and whoosh, I got you, darling.
I take a little bit of strap and just like start to tie it into a little Bonnie and Clyde. It's like...
Alright, so...
I just like to figure out how to turn around my harpoon flinger.
Yep, so you maneuver back pointing behind you.
Cool.
Not a problem.
I'd like to get like a handle of like the handling of it, maybe try doing like a wheelie or something. You know, I mean, I've worked with horses before. I know how they rear back and things. So
Roll a performance with your charisma.
okay, this may go horribly given that the highest I've rolled today is an 8,
Please.
and that's cocked, which is good. So it's a 4, and that's fucking out.
Do it in M.E.R.C.Y.
M.E.R.C.Y is a good one.
Yeah, that's a 9.
A 9, so yeah, you sort of rev it up and try and pop the wheelie up, and it's got way more oomph than you thought. Like, this is not a horse, and when you pop it up, the bike goes woof out from underneath you and skids onto its side. When the Devil's Ride becomes prone, it can't right itself and is incapacitated until pulled upright. So you need to go over and...
Great, I'm gonna be just like...
It's a sharp-looking vehicle, and yeah, you need to take the first round of action to get your bike back up and going again. What would the monks like to do? You've got it running.
So yeah, we started taking off. Captain, look! We're gonna laugh and just turn around and like circle it up next and just go.
Yeah, can I like sort of like as we're like doing turning, can I like do like what's his name? Bruce Willis in Red kind of like jump out to like and start like mid walking and try and help like the bike up.
Sure. I can't see why not. So yeah, with assistance, you easily get the bike back up. But I feel like she could have done it herself. But
I look at you and I'm like,
Okay, so it's not quite like a horse.
You're not in control of any of the bikes, so don't judge someone that is.
And you know what? I'm allowed to because I'm not in control of the bikes first, mate.
What would your tormentor like to be doing?
The tormentor would like to start moving off.
Yep. Are you going to go full floor, pedal to the floor?
Hell yes.
That was the most.
And do I use feel,
Oh,
can
either
I use
way.
feel and agility for this?
Your car's not a cat. It's a yeah, you power off a lot quicker than you thought, and you see like how Clary flicks her bike up underneath her, sort of skids off to the right, and you just you're off.
Yeah.
And for something like tank tracks, insane amounts of speed. Yeah. Tank tracks.
Raz is like,
Even through the like hard, crusty ground, these chains rip in and drag you along. Raz has sort of managed to turn the thing around, and now his chest is stuck against it. Like shit, this thing's going faster than I thought.
Yeah.
Ruse is holding on with one hand and like holding a cowboy hat and just hollering. And then he starts to sing Ozzy Osbourne's War Pigs for you all. And you can all take a D6 of inspiration to use when you need, as well as the inspiration points if you have them.
I do have one.
Cool. I should have used that for the wheelie. Oh well.
That's all right. There will be plenty more opportunities. So for the first round of action, you all know roughly what happens. You sort of stuff up, they wheel around and lose time to help you out, and the mole car races off ahead. You do figure with the smaller vehicles, you'll probably catch up to it.
As Roz is like doing the cowboy hat, I'd take off my sun hat and do the same thing.
You probably drop it again.
I got a strap on it now. Time one up.
And as they drive off, there's one of those.
Honk, honk.
But yes, you all start
doing
moving
that.
forward, and very quickly, the cars behind you start to catch up.
Oh yeah.
I run back to my sidecar.
They seem a bit more adept at how these things work. But as they are racing up, you start to hear shots firing
Oh shit.
and a lot of hollering from their end.
Yep.
But let's us get to the second round of action. Sorry about that, that was huge. You guys are aware that danger is approaching. They're starting to catch up quite quickly and surround you. Even the larger vehicles are catching up as you just get a bit of a slow start. The terrain ahead still seems flat and steady for you three drivers. So you can start to ready some form of combat action or flavor idea that you have up your sleeve. The armada of hellish vehicles are catching up behind you. They are very quickly going to be riding alongside you, probably during this action sequence. You can start to see hanging off them many horned creatures hungry for death and pain, long-limbed nightmare beasts screeching and hollering from their driver's seats. And they are all clearly out for blood on these desert sands. Again, it's burning hot. Most of the vehicles are like steel and skin built, so it's not a comfortable situation.
It's like even the wind is hot as we're flying along.
Damn question.
Of course.
Are we able to cast spells of any kind? Or
If you use your action to cast a spell, then your movement will just be the standard speed of the vehicle. If you get out of the vehicle, you will automatically fail any dex saves needed by the vehicle because no one's in control of it. As a driver, that's very much your responsibility on that. But yes, you can cast spells from the dome. If you need line of sight, you can say, I wait till I see a vehicle or I wait till I see a creature or whatever. But yeah, what would you like to do? We'll start with you then.
Okay, well, I got eyes ahead. I'm keeping this thing moving forward, and I would like to, as soon as I see a vehicle, an enemy vehicle pull up alongside, I'm going to drop 10 gallons of water directly above them.
Okay. With what spell, sorry?
Create destroy water.
Yep, excellent. So, knowing how fast the vehicle's going, you're going to put it in lead time to actually fall in the vehicle, I assume. But yes, when you see a vehicle, you'll be able to take that action and cast that spell. Ready any dex save and stuff I need to know that I'll make at the time. In the back of that vehicle, what would you like to be doing?
Sure, I will. If any vehicle approaches either of our motorcycle friends, I would like to shoot them.
Yep, so you can try and take aiding them taking out a vehicle. Yep. What would you like to do on your little vehicle? You are back up and running on that? And you've got a better gauge of how powerful it is now.
Yeah. The thing is, I have Warcaster, so I don't have to take my hands off of the handles to actually cast anything. So I'm wondering, what do these vehicles look like that we're coming on?
The ones that are getting closer to you, so like dune buggies and motorbikes. Not that any of you know what any of those things are. They're smaller vehicles. Some of them look like weird metal carts, but mostly small things. You do see huge monstrosities behind. One of them looks like a giant spider. There's just wagons and things that look like battleships that you've seen on the waters, but with wheels. That are coming in, but most of them are out of range for now. There's a lot of gunfire and blast, but they're all sort of just testing the water, seeing how far they can shoot at this point. But yes, mostly small vehicles will be catching up to you first.
Okay, are there any obvious kind of gears or anything that I could perhaps try and jam?
Of course. With what?
A spiritual weapon.
Yep. So you want to try and hold a spiritual weapon behind you and...
Yeah, essentially, if one comes up, I want to kind of jam it into the side to see if I can essentially stop it.
Sure.
Stick in the black spoke.
Yeah, a reusable stick in the black spoke.
Yes.
What's the monk bike doing?
I'm gonna spend the time as I'm driving, study the buttons and all the levers.
Yep. There are multiple ones that are just tiny little bird skulls, and there's one that's a bit bigger, looks like a monkey skull, and all the buttons are forms of skulls.
Bird or monkey? Is it like any other sign?
There's nothing to tell you what they might do.
Okay, I'm gonna ready a bird skull.
Okay.
For when and keep an eye behind it. At the moment that a vehicle's behind us, I'm gonna bird skull it.
Yep. No problems. And on drive.
We're just gonna take off. I'm gonna keep pace with Clary, knowing that we're kind of faster.
Yep.
I'm gonna keep pace with her so we're sort of level, and I'm just gonna basically just hold a dodge.
Yep.
Essentially.
Excellent. Yeah.
Just anything that comes at us, we'll just sort of get out of the way.
Not a problem. That's basically it's called a juke. So
He said that.
the other vehicles close in. As one of the bikes slides up and tries to come close to the tormentor, it's sort of screaming at you all, and this sort of hellish scream comes out, and then your scimitar appears.
Yep.
Roll your attack.
Alright, let's see if I actually...
What is it? Don't.
It's
don't.
a 2.
What's the final attack for?
Plus... it's 7.
Yep. And roll with advantage.
I may or may not have touched the dice before this.
Okay, you did. Touch both of my sets of d20s. That explains so much. That will be a 24 to hit. That's a lot better.
As they're sort of screeching at you, and one of them starts to raise a sword and is clearly going to try and jump off his bike towards you, the scimitar goes straight through the wheel and he flips forward and skids across on the ground, and the bike rolls up behind you, which you've never seen
I'm not even
like
looking at the
that.
explosion.
You've seen fireballs, but this is weird.
Hey, Chloe, that's what happened to you earlier!
And then from the monk bike, this vehicle that's just blown up behind you starts to feel swerving around behind, trying to get out of the way. And as one of them swerves behind and forms a perfect line straight behind you, you pull the lever. And underneath the carriage, thousands and thousands of bird skulls fall from the base. And as the bike sort of crunches over them, it's trying to find its way. You hear a tire pop, you hear the back tire pop, and the guy tries to jump from his bike at you guys. Out of the way. The guy's so confident, he's leering forward, spear in hand, he's ready to come down on you, and the bike just moves out of the way. Goes, as the spear hits the ground, he just skids over it and cracks into the ground. You see a smear of blood and whatnot. It's not. He's not coming back.
I hold a universal metal sign.
Yeah. One of the dune buggies starts to come alongside, and straight out of Mad Max, there is a pole on top of it hanging, and the guy tries to swing himself down and land onto you as they're sort of flopping back and forth. You see this coming alongside, seeing the bikes have handled their own business.
Of course.
Would no doubt swing around. Now, what would you like to do? Would you want to drop water on it, or do you want to try and harpoon it?
Okay,
I'll say onto what specifically here?
Roll for it.
Roll for it.
Just make a decision as friends.
Right.
Don't fight it.
he beat you by 1 point.
He did.
I saw how excited he was by the harpoons. I defer.
Makes sense for the harpoon to go into a larger vehicle or the water onto the person swinging.
So roll your attack.
Yep.
You're on a bike, we have no control over them.
That's true.
Yeah. Using what bonuses? Ranged weapon?
Here we go. Harpoon flinger, +7 to hit.
Woo! That's a dirty 20 then.
Yep.
Woo!
So you managed to pierce the side of the wheel, doing 11 damage to the vehicle, but you also sever the pole that he was hanging from. So as he's trying to like swing across, the pole snaps and he just sort of lands in the middle again, another big sphere of bones and horns. The vehicle is sort of shuddering a bit, but still driving alongside you.
Oh no.
You've got a choice here. That vehicle is still there, and there's a bike that's come looping around, and it's trying to loop across and ram your vehicle from the other side. What would you like to try and drop water on?
If he tries to run.
Yeah, right.
Oh, the one that's trying to swerve around.
So it's sort of looped around where these bikes, the two bikes have been mucking around. This bike's looped around and it's trying to cut in front of them, across in front of them, and
Yes.
hit you.
I'm going to cast
Because you're ahead.
the water,
Yep.
hopefully in front of it,
Yep.
and causing it to swerve and hopefully just slip, slide, and then crash.
So is it a dex save to get out of that water, or is it just you dump it on me and that's that?
Just happens.
Yep. So without any possibility of resistance, this bike's coming at you and he's really lined it up. You can see he's cackling madly. This person's head is just bone.
I'm cackling as well, by the way.
I imagine so. And the water cascades down and you see, being that the ground is so hot and the vehicle's so hot and these creatures are hellish, it sizzles immediately. Just a big plume of smoke bursts from the vehicle itself, and it starts to flip and skid in front of you. The bikes easily, you two bikes easily swerve around it and continue on. And the first wave has been, I guess, dodged. The next round of action, however, the ground isn't so lovely. You do hear whispers, even over the noise of all these engines and the roar of the hot wind and the screaming and hollering. You hear whispers of encouragement and assurance from the female voice. You guys can look around and look into a little extra bit of the vehicle. It's not coming from Ruse, it's coming from the very air.
Interesting.
Before we go into the third round,
Yeah.
I might take this opportunity to have our break. So come back with us as we start to get into some dangerous territory.
My bike! My bike! My bike!
case where the main armada of vehicles have managed to catch up to you, and you're about to fully engage in a toe-to-toe road battle on the way towards the tower. Now, I will tell you, at this point, for the third round of action, you feel like you're about halfway to the tower. It definitely looks a lot bigger, the beam looks a lot clearer, and you are much surer now that it's not a mirage.
Okay.
Although, being how hot it is still shimmering, but this thing has grown naturally in size as you get closer to it. The terrain ahead of you seems a lot rougher and more jagged. You will need to probably dedicate part of your action to thinking about that, not just careening through mountains and hills.
Through the mountains and hills!
The enemy will also have to handle this terrain as well. Don't worry about that. But yes, so with our system of action sequence, what would we like to do? We can confer between each other.
I'm thinking the monkey skull is something to fire in the front.
Probably.
So I'm gonna hold off on that.
I'm gonna focus on driving us and duking.
Yeah.
Speed, so I'll give you the opportunity to defend us mostly.
Also, perhaps draw in vehicles to the sides of.
We can sort of draw them off the side.
I'm gonna be like sort out and be like and just point to the closest vehicle.
Alright, so that's what we're doing.
I'm prepping
What are the vehicles in relation?
So you're finding that the quicker vehicles are much like that bike that came across. They're kind of taking a wide berth with the intention to sort of swoop in at you as flanking attacks. But the bigger vehicles are just behind you, sort of thundering along. And one of them, like I said, is like a giant spider that somehow is keeping pace with all of these, and it's just clambering along and almost like a dog run. But with spider legs. One of them that we know is like a big truck. This is sort of thundering along, and it seems to have aligned itself directly behind the Tormentor, and is trying to sort of get in tailgating reach. It probably won't tailgate this round, but it's getting pretty close to ramming speed.
What kind of levers do I see?
In yours, there are a lot. So you've got the 4 or 5 in front of you that control left, right, speeds, whatnot. Foot pedals for go and stop. You haven't really discovered the stop pedal yet, but who needs it?
Exactly.
Along the side is a lot of sort of, again, skulls and sort of bone things that seem to be able to be depressed and function. There's a few that seem like they're just handles in front of you, and just feeling it around, you find one in front of you that doesn't push, but you start to pull it and it gives, and you think that's more of a pull to activate kind of thing. So there's a little panel of those in front of you as well. Unaware of what any of these are going to do, they're all just sort of bones and bits, and some of them are just like a ball of skin and on the end of a stick. But you'll find out as you make some choices.
Use the skin ball. Use the skin ball.
What are you going to do up there with the harpoon? I will obviously say that you've reloaded during the start of the first fire.
Yeah, that's
so you have a loaded harpoon.
Yeah.
Raz is starting to sing DMX's X Gon Give It To You. But replacing X with dogs.
Of course.
Replacing the other words that he can't
he's
see.
swearing his head off. Exactly.
Oh, there's a couple of racials.
Yeah.
Oh, he'll probably replace those.
Yeah.
With Changeling.
That would be Ruse.
Definitely.
That would be Ruse, by the way.
Yes. Ruse, sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Have I been able to see which levers he's been pulling and pushing to turn?
No, you can't see into the dome. You can hear things, but you're where you're pointing at the sides and at the back.
Yep.
You can't see in there.
Okay.
The whole time Smoke's just like this.
I think I'm gonna
get cloud.
I'm gonna have a mage hand out.
Yep.
I'm gonna have a mage hand out, and whichever if a bike starts to like swoop into us, I want to try to guide the hand to its like handlebar, like one of its handlebars, and just like wildly push on it, try and steer it out of the battle way.
Sure, cool. Alright, so we've got you guys juking around, concentrating on the dunes themselves, and you sort of asking for a sword attack, basically.
We're heading towards
You're,
enemy.
what are you doing?
One hand is on the wheel or the skull or whatever it is that's keeping this thing going forward.
hammering the lever.
And the other hand is just going to, if it's not within table game distance, now's probably a good time to experiment a little bit and see what these do. So let's go for the bones, and it's just going to ready the bone lever.
So you can pull the bone lever back?
Yeah, in case something gets close.
Sure.
And an enemy vehicle.
So when an enemy vehicle gets close to behind us. Yeah.
What were you doing, sorry?
I was just having a mage hand ready for when.
That's right. Are you going to do anything with the harpoon? Because your mage hand's a bonus action, so.
It is. God, I'm still concerned for the bikes. If the bikes look okay, I'll fire on the nearest thing to us.
After Clary's mistake, without any pressure, they've all seemed to have gone a lot better with the bikes, and you can see that Kip's concentrating very much on handling the bike, rather than doing anything. So, if you feel like you want to turn back and fire at the crowds, you can. If you want to help Clary, you can. It's up to you. You've got a big old jagged-looking harpoon ready to rumble.
Yeah, I'm gonna fire at the crowds. I'm gonna see if I can hit that fucking giant spider thing.
Okay, so you can take a shot at that. Ruse has opened up the bag of holding, and you don't know what he's going to do with that.
Okay, so with my spiritual weapon still kind of hanging back there, and I can only move it 20 feet, what would be the nearest thing it could hit next?
You can see as they're all careening forward, there is a vehicle that seems to have jaws on the front, like the beasts of something they've killed. They've attached it to the front with sort of metal arms to operate it, and it's sort of chomping after you, much like the ball on the chain in Mario. As a person that outside of the game, we know this is a tractor, but you are just seeing a vehicle with two huge back tires and like smaller ones on the front to accommodate this jaws on the front.
It's a vicious beast.
And there's a demon with a straw hat in there that's just like leaning on.
It's got a bit of weight. Got a bit of weight.
Definitely.
Hell yeah.
But it's like devil weight, so it's black. And he's holding on the steering wheel. He's coming for you, but you see your bone scimitar. After stabbing through the bike, is only a stationary weapon. So you're all racing forward, and this is now racing towards that. So how would you like to interact with that?
I want to turn the scimitar like vertical and see if I can essentially get it caught in like
In the jaws?
in the jaws to essentially jam it.
Very cool.
And so then also it'll still be traveling towards me, so it's still in range of being able to control it.
That's genius.
So that'd be like the bonus
That's a
action.
bonus action. How much of my attention would I need to like use an action to just focus on actually like?
You could, much like with difficult terrain, you could halve your movement and be able to do that and still take an action, or you could concentrate fully on dodging and weaving and keep your average speed.
Oh, let's see. Because I mean, I can see you guys are going ahead.
I was actually going to say something about that. But
Yeah.
Of course, no, this is the time for it.
Okay, so I know that like key abilities don't affect the bike, but patient defense is the dodge action as a bonus action. So
Yes.
could I use the bonus action to not lose any speed?
Your reaction is already the advantage on dex saves.
Yeah.
That's something you get for the bike.
Yeah. I just want to like not lose speed, but I also want to hold my action. So when we go near a bike, if we go up and it's on the right side of me, I'm going to try and kick the driver off, and then he can jump over onto it.
I like this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
That way.
An organized play.
Yeah.
I'm in for it.
Couldn't you just drive up on the right side of them and have him stab the driver and get on that way?
Yeah, but then we get
Hey, do you want one bike or two bikes? Anyway, sorry.
So currently, in terms of we've got that, we've got
You've
the
got the
tank.
scimitar happening behind.
Yeah, so
that
we've got the
you're trying-
tormentor moving a little bit slower behind us.
Yep.
They're speeding ahead. I kind of want to be somewhere in the middle, so I think I will actually hold my movement and ready a. Because the thing is, they might have high dex, but I'm not sure if they necessarily have high wisdom, so I'm going to ready Toll the Dead as a cantrip.
Excellent.
So that if I see a bike or anything coming up beside me, I can essentially shoot at the rider and hopefully get them to get those ringing bells, just kind of discombobulating them and get them to fall off.
All right. So if we all have our actions prepared.
I believe so.
So, we'll handle this one first because it's closer to the back. The demon grinder vehicle coming along behind you tries to crush the weapon. It fails. And as it gets chomped in the jaws, the driver's like slamming his steering wheel but still driving forward and now carrying your sacred
Does
weapon
it
for
technically
you.
take damage as well in the process?
No,
I mean, it gets
because
damage,
if we were
so-
going into the taking damage system, your sacred weapon would be smashed to bits.
Yeah, that's better.
But it has
I mean,
gender.
spiritual, so.
Now, the next thing would be I believe, the bikes. So as they try to swoop in from the sides, you guys have managed to get around the front.
Yep.
So ducking a wee through the mounds or jumping over a few probably.
Oh, definitely.
You spot one and level your sword towards it. Kip, you see this, you swerve down towards it, and as you get close, roll your attack on the driver. The driver's sort of hanging low with a helmet and goggles on.
19.
19 will hit the driver for sure. So with the assistance of the black swerving towards, the sword's pointing out, and the driver's concentrating more on ramming your vehicle. So as Kip straightens the bike alongside of it, rather than ramming into it, which was this thing's intention, and sort of slowing down a bit, the sword takes the helmet and the head off. As they roll through.
10 as well, so I'm happy with that.
So the bike does continue forward, and without anybody controlling it, starts to sort of veer off to the side and skids in front of the Tormentor as the Tormentor drives and crushes the bike underneath without skipping the beat.
I mean, bonus action, I was going to jump on it, but that probably needs an action.
Well, you might still have a chance, because as you're ducking and weaving, Kip's noticed another bike closing in on the opposite angle, trying to sandwich you. With sharp wits and quick skills, he notices that, raises his foot to kick it away, aiming for the driver, but the bike's coming head on, and you manage to, as you're straightening up your bike, turn your bike and gain momentum as you drive away with it. It's driving with you, your foot's connected to the front of it, and you sort of shunt it a bit, and the driver's and from like super confident, I'm going to slaughter you, he's like, know what I planned, know what I planned. There is now...
So basically, Clary,
There is now...
It's like standing on the two as I drive.
There is now a bridge of Kip's body and a leg over onto the front of this other bike as it's trying to shunt you.
I kiss him on the cheek and I say, monkey skull, and I like, and I run, I like, monkey skull, and then hop on.
So you're hanging onto the back of this guy. Make a grapple check.
It's cocked in off the thing. Natural 20. Yep.
Nice.
So you get a 20, obviously you grab him and just rip him off.
Powered by bonus.
He also gets crushed by the tormentor.
No, you guys aren't in front of the tornado. That bike's just swerved around in front of it. But as you do throw it back, you do hear it land. But yes, from there you have a separate bike. You've got the side carriage there. You can break the buttons if you needed to. Now the spider vehicle is crashing and thundering towards you at this point. You can see sort of a very bulbous bottom to it. But much like the Molemobile that you're in, there is a dome at the top. Stupidly, they decided to have that open. But yeah, there is an open dome up there.
I am going to fire on that, please.
Roll to attack.
I'm going to use Ruse's inspiration as well, because I get the feeling this is going to go terribly for me.
So you have the inspiration point, which is an extra d20, and you have the d6 of Ruse's inspiration from the top.
I did use the d6.
What's it? Roll it.
9 plus 7.
16.
Thank you.
So your harpoon flies up and you see it hit the back of the dome and rip the dome itself off.
Okay.
But you didn't hit any physical person.
Okay.
But yes, their AC is pretty high, just like yours.
Makes sense.
But yes, it's sort of ripped that off the back, and they know that you're targeting it now.
Fair enough.
And as instead of sort of just thundering after, you see that it sort of tips a bit, and the dome starts to lean in towards you, and they've chosen their target.
I see. That makes sense.
Now, remind me what you had help.
I had a bone leg.
Yes, right. So there is a large sort of barge vehicle coming up behind you, and this spider now sort of moving its way towards, and almost some legs landing over the other vehicle as they move along. You pull the bone lever, and from the back end, just underneath your turret, a gout of dragon flame is burst.
Nice.
As it's sort of heading, you make a choice as to whether you want to try and burn the barge or whether you want to try and burn the spider creature.
Spider creature.
Yep. Roll attack.
I'm going to use the runes advantage.
Excellent. If you return those coins.
I can use plus anything to it?
For the fire, yes, plus 8.
20.
20. So after Ruse has cleaned the dome off, they have no protection. They've leaned it heavy. They leaned it forward and opened up their cabin space almost to you. And not knowing what it did, you sort of pull the lever, and a small window appears in front of you with like an arcade main reversing camera, and you can see where this guy of flame goes. You're sort of moving around the lever and adjusting it. It's sort of finding its point, and you point onto the cabin, and you notice bodies start to like jump out of the sides and trying to get away from the dragonfire, which, as we all know from TV, the dragonfire doesn't stop burning. So these guys are jumping out, and the spider starts to lurch and no longer is controlling the way that it would. One of the legs sort of pierces the side of the barge and rips a wheel, but it ultimately falls to the side and crumples, and a lot of buggies slam into it. There's explosions out the back, and you've taken up.
I'm watching all of this.
And while this is happening, Smoke is having burn, baby, burn, spider inferno, burn.
Ruse joins in, and you can take that inspiration back.
I just want to say, like, as after all this, I'm just going to go up a fucking mound and just look back at everything, see this, and look like, scratch your wall.
And
He's landing on the opposite side of Mount. He's not right.
Smoke is saluting us.
Just,
However, you do hear a lot of gunfire from the back as some of the larger vehicles are coming into range.
It's like pops and bangs.
One of the huge cannonballs that they fire from the rear, without a clear vision of you, they just sort of loop one over. And one of the dune buggies that's gaining on you, and you can see more people on those big spears that are trying to lean over and jump onto you. The cannonball lands smack bang in the middle of it, and the two on the pikes slam into the ground alongside of you. And you've completely lost the dune buggy that was next to you. The second shot, that one bounced well. That one does land across the front, and you see it skid off the front of the drill piece out the front. When it hits, you notice the drill start to spin, but slow, because it's just sort of starting it up like a propeller kind of thing. But it does do quite a large dent to the front of your vehicle, and you've taken one round of serious damage.
Okay.
The next shot is a lot better. And it does land behind you, crushing a lot of the weaponry underneath your turret.
Can I use my compass in this scenario?
What would that do?
It would flip the roll.
Yes, sorry. So what would be the odds of 15? 5?
Yeah.
Yep. So it only hits one of the weapons and knocks it off the back. You think it was probably one of the like pull and release weapons like the bird skulls. It is deactivated, and when that happens, one of the pull levers goes slap and falls towards you and just hangs there. So you can gather from that, the pull levers drop weapons, and like the push-pull ones drops. The lever up and downs seem to be more weaponry.
quality demon engineering.
The fourth shot goes over and tries to slam into one of the bikes. You're still close enough to... Oh, I have to go disadvantage from the bikes. So as it's looping over and trying to land where this monk bike had been, you've gone up that jump, check back, and yes, sick. And as you're coming down the mound, you notice you're not the only thing coming down the mound.
Sick. Oh shit!
However, Thaddeus is looping around underneath you. Would you like to try and receive kick onto your bike?
Hell yeah.
So make an acrobatics check.
Sure.
The ultimate bromance is forming right now.
Yeah, romance. That's what it is. Yeah.
Not a problem. So hearing this of a cannonball coming in behind you, you look back, seeing the explosions, very excited, see the cannonball and just go, where to?
Can I give my inspiration just so that he can pull the monkey skull just so he can see what it does?
Okay, roll a second deck check.
Alright.
And the point?
I will give my coin
Gladly for that.
I want to see what the monkey skull does.
I'm going to use Bardic Inspiration as well.
Yeah, sure.
Straight dex or acrobatics or whatever?
Dex is more just getting to that lever.
Straight dex, 17.
Yep, that'll do it. So as you pull the lever, thank fuck you guys didn't do that while you were on the bike. You jump off towards his bike and you hear a ticking sound from the bike. The cannonball strikes the back of the bike and flips it up, and it skids, but it hasn't exploded. It is ticking. You manage to reach out and grab onto Thaddeus' shoulders and just hang off the edge of the bike. But
It's like crouching, like standing on the seat, holding onto the shoulders, just like, hey honey, how was your day? Pretty good, actually. What does the monkey skull do?
I think
think we're about to find out.
That is the resolution of the third action sequence.
I am so happy right now.
It's turned to sort of see this as this is going on. It's just like struggles to get control of the vehicle.
That's right, I nearly forgot. One of the bikes that's tailing you guys and sort of swerving around where the spider creature has gone down, it starts to gain and it's almost pulling alongside, but it's aware of how a tormentor works and he's keeping enough distance to be out of the sides. And Ruse sort of pops himself up, leans over and looks. Ruse pops up and looks over, just gets a visual on him and goes back, opens the bag a little further. He's sort of judging this one. No, a little bit more. And releases 260 notes. He now has the Shadowkai daggers in there as well.
Nice.
They all loop out and land, start to form the cloud of daggers in front of the bike. And as it goes through, the whole bike converts now just shredder into mist. Nice. That cloud of daggers stays in position as you all drive off. Oh, much like the sacred weapon.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be causing help for people that have to drive through it. He's quite content with that, but also keeps the bag open for their return. From there, we're in the fourth round of combat. The tower is clear in your vision now, no longer shimmering. Unfortunately, that's not the most important thing ahead of you at this point. After the mounds and the tough terrain have started to be there and some sort of ditches and chasms have opened up that you've all been avoiding in your vehicles, you do notice quite a large chasm ahead of you. The terrain seems such that you could floor it and make it across as the other side of it seems lower than the side you're on. There are some mounds leading up to it that you could try and hit to get a bit of a boost. Perhaps not in the Tormentor, but the bikes certainly could. You notice the bike handle is much the same as yours does, but it's a lot flimsier build, more based on bones rather than steel.
You always gotta go steel.
All drivers will need to dedicate full speed if they want to clear this comfortably. However, if you choose not to, you will be taking a risk with a dex check. That won't be an advantage.
Is that Ixnay on the Eline agility area?
Yes. Your vehicle is not a cat. Much like your vehicle is not a monk.
Our vehicle's a monk.
So, what would we like to do in this round?
How far away is this chasm?
The chasm is closing in. You will be at it in this round of combat.
Okay.
You notice that every vehicle behind you has been accelerating faster than you guys to catch up to you. You gather that they're all going to try and hit this and jump it as well.
Floor it, and if anyone comes next to us, I'm going to jump onto that and fuck with them.
I like sort of like move you on so that you're sitting on the bike properly and just floor it.
Excellent. So using action, and would you like to burn key points to the dash, or?
Well, I mean, it doesn't affect the bike though, does it?
If you burn key points to dash, you'll be able to take an action if you need to, is what I'm getting at.
Okay, I'll better keep on.
Just like Kip did before.
I'll stay balancing though. That way I can jump. So like if something comes next to it, like near us, I'm probably going to try and jump onto that and cause a bit of havoc to another vehicle.
I'm gonna like floor it, but like be prepared to stay close if that'll go wrong, so they can jump back.
Excellent. Other bike.
How far away is my scimitar
Your
stuff?
scimitar is gaining on you.
Yeah. Distance-wise, how close is it?
They would probably be within 100 feet now,
Okay.
but it's going to gain on you if you slow down.
The thing is, I do want to make this go. So, like,
Well, this is where you can use a bit of action economy. If you want that, but if you want that spiritual weapon to be within range, you could slow down, do what you need to do with that, then hit your, because it's a bonus action to use. Then hit your speed and dash to floor it, maybe try and hit the mound for some extra height.
I think because what I want to do is, are there any more bikes coming up?
For sure.
Okay. Because what I want to do.
You know from the most of the smoke behind you that's like this is all dirt kicking up, and every time you like wipe out a bike, 6 more pull out and smoke closer. Most ones at the back have goggles, the ones at the front didn't.
Yeah, because I like the idea of like running up, doing the jump, and looking behind and causing someone else to lose so much speed that then they fall into the chasm.
Sure. How do you intend to do that?
Chaos.
Again, similar thing with the spiritual weapon to like jam the bike.
Yep. Alright, That's the intention?
Yeah.
Tormentor, what are we doing?
Well, with full movement and with the tormentor, that means can't do anything else, like other than like bonus.
For the Tormentor, yeah, I'll say that you do need to sort of concentrate fully on getting this at full speed.
Sure.
You could pull a random lever if you want.
I think.
I said pull around and leave it.
How far away did you say roughly?
The pit's probably about 100 feet. In this sort of action sequence, you'll be able to reach that and probably make the jump during the action sequence. But you do have 100 feet of movement to muck around with the lever, take a punt on what's going to happen.
Yeah. Random lever?
Yeah, random lever.
Random lever.
Now, you got to tell me, would you like a pull lever? Would you like a crank lever? Or do you want to push a button on the left?
Well, you said the push and pull ones were.
The pull ones are like drop weapons. There are still a few levers left.
The pull ones were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then the other ones seem to, like the crank levers seem to be, that's the one you use with the fire. So it's more like a reverse weapon rather than a drop weapon. The buttons, you don't know what they do at this point.
Okay, well, let's push the button then.
Okay, pushing one of the buttons on the right during the action.
Yep.
Excellent. What are you doing?
I want to try to.
I'm so sorry, we didn't resolve your mage hand, but your mage hand can be there,
Yeah.
ready to use that.
Still around.
Patting you on the back.
It's moving alongside you to take that action this time around without wasting this turn's.
Yep, that's fine.
Let me out there.
I would like to fire a harpoon.
Tongue flapping in the wind.
I want to fire a harpoon. As we go over the chasm, I want to fire a harpoon onto like near the edge of it, in the trail of something, of like one of the bikes or one of the buggies, just to try and make it inconvenient something.
Tell me the intention of what that's going to do, so I can resolve it.
Essentially, try to make them either lose speed or abort the jump entirely.
So you're trying to like land a harpoon in front of a vehicle,
Yes.
or okay, rather than in a vehicle. Okay,
Yep.
I like that. All right.
Or in a vehicle. If you miss, you might hit a vehicle.
Okay, Ruse starts to sing a song you can't quite hear over all the noise of now the thousands and hundreds of engines, but you've got an idea that he's about to do something. And this action sequence begins.
Okay.
So first of all, the hordes of bikes start moving in. Two more are caught in the cloud of daggers as they try and like swerve around it and through it, thinking it's going to move. It doesn't. The mage hand that you've got hovering alongside grabs the handles of one of the bikes and wrenches down hard left.
Yep.
The bike swerves away from you guys into another bike, and the two of them crumple into each other.
Nice.
One of the beasts flips off, and its huge long limb, almost dog-like, starts to bound up you without the bike. And it's not changing its gaze. It knows your mage hand did that.
Does it hit the
slightly
nightmare?
it's coming after you.
Demon dog?
Very similar, but much more spindly.
How do you deal with it?
You do hear a large explosion back in the dust as your old monkey bike does blow up.
Excellent.
The dune buggies, however, start to close in with their guys leaning over. All three of them, as they are leaning down on their harpoons, try to get purchase and grab onto the vehicle as you're sort of still moving it around a little bit, and Ruse is up there as well, sort of very weakly, still quite exhausted, just shoving them. And one of them was a nat 1, so he collects the other one on the way through, and their pikes hit each other and fall. The third one tries to grab on, and Raz is concentrating on his mage hand and turns around, and as he sort of he pushes it out of the way, and it doesn't, it just skids off the side. And because it goes near the range of the raking sides, they shoot up from the sides and carve this thing in half as it as they're an immediate reaction rather than a button weapon. From there, your bike slows down. The demon grinder behind you is still trying to chew through it. And knowing that you know with your spiritual weapon, you've got some control over it, you just turn it sideways and the jaw's like, you know, like you've got something in your jaw.
Yeah.
It kind of just does that little spasm and you withdraw it from out of the demon grinder, which starts snapping and following along. The sword then moves further up, and as it gets closer to the edge, as you're racing up, you start to accelerate and hit a bounce. The bike takes air. The spiritual weapon is following behind you as an upright scimitar still.
Yeah.
And then it forms a gate
Yeah.
and just stops as a flat gate
Yeah.
in front of the demon grinder.
Boom mic. Oh, boom guy.
Yeah,
We'll resolve that in a moment. Your bikes get closer to the edge, and as they launch up, you notice some of the ones that were trying to swerve around and get a hold of your tormentor that's a bit behind you. They decide to peel off and try and knock your back wheel to try and misalign you. At disadvantage.
Yeah.
Excellent. So that bike's swerving around behind you, but Miss Gecko's trying to hit your back wheel and gets aligned in front of you as you two take off. From there, it's getting closer and closer and closer.
Can I, like... has it matched speed with us?
It has. It's on an angle. It seems like it's going to collide with your bike.
I would like to...
In midair.
Yeah, I would like to jump on that bike and essentially towards the front to try and angle it away so it doesn't immediately collide with us.
Yep. So as you roll acrobatics, obviously.
I'm going to use your inspiration.
Yes.
That was a 3.
Maybe that wasn't me rolling, because that would be a 17.
That would have been a high roll for you.
Yeah. I actually looked a low roll this time.
What have you got? A 1. Okay.
Okay.
So what was the first roll?
So it's 10 total.
10 total. It's not bad. So you try to sort of deftly jump towards this bike, and your aim is to kind of jump and hit the back wheel of it to sort of spin it and make it end up next to you. And as you jump, you realise that you've jumped too far. And your aim to kick the back wheel and spin it around, you've gone past that, and you're almost going past the ranger. However, the rider really wanted to stab you. So, are you going to resist this attack?
Can I, as he's going to stab me, grab his arm? Which means if he's got a sword, sure, it'll stab me.
Yep. So he'll be attacking with advantage. Which hits you.
Yep.
And this, much similar to your bone scimitar that you see behind you now, this curved, jagged blade lunges into the side of your ribs. And you take 7 points of damage. Yep. But you aren't flying off into a chasm.
Yep.
As you grab his arm, as you got punctured onto the side of a sword. You don't change the momentum of the bike, however, and the two bikes are about to collide. What would you like to do? You did have an action held.
Yeah, oh god in heaven. Lady Death, can I, like...
Now's a good time to pray to the dragon.
Yeah, well, I'll play to death, man! Can I, try and... Basically what I want to do is hit the driver, key point, flurry blows, basically to try and knock him free of the sword, knock the driver off, knock the bike away.
Now, I know open hand as like you can knock them prone or you can shove them or whatever with your flurry of blows. Is that something?
No, flurry blows is just attacks.
Okay.
Can I hit the handle so the handle turns? No,
You do what I did. Use your foot to like hold the bike away from your bike.
You tell me, do you want to attack him or the bike?
the bike.
Okay, I can resolve that. Attack the bike with 3 attacks.
Okay, that's an 11. I'm gonna use my normal inspiration. That's 12.
Next attack.
Wait one second, one more other thing I can do. How many allies are close to me within 30 feet? Just one?
1. The tormentor's too far back and Clary's bike's off to the right.
I'm gonna spend a
And
luck.
also a bit back as well.
Yeah, she's slowed down as well.
Spending a luck point.
Okay.
Yeah, 21.
21 for the first attack.
Yep.
Roll your damage.
Is this a sword or?
Oh, you're attacking the bike, aren't you? Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, roll your damage.
Sword or fist? Fist. 5.
5, yep. So you managed to change its course a little bit.
Yep.
Roll your second attack.
Like a billion. 24.
Yep. Roll your damage.
7.
7, yep. So that's definitely doing more. Roll your final attack.
Luck point! Yeah, there we are. 23.
Alright, and the damage.
7 more points.
So the first instance, you're sort of ready for it to come in. You see it coming, and the longest distance weapon you have at this point is your foot. So you kick out, and it changes the wheels or spins it off to the side. But you think that body of the bike's still coming. Your monk speed, you still react again, and you go to just hammer the front of the bike with your fist, which you think, being this sort of beastly vehicle, is an incredibly stupid thing to do.
Right about that.
However, keeps it down. And you punch clean through the front shell of the motor housing. When you hit it, you feel arcane energy and power flowing through the very interior of this bike.
Yes.
And you withdraw your fist and think, fuck that, and punch again. And this time, it changes the movement of the bike, but also changes your movement. Obviously, the one you put force that way, it's going to push your bike that way, which does seem to slow your bike's momentum through the air. However, it spun the bike on its side, and Kip is now much closer to you than the driver or the bike. Good. From there, you're still on the end of the blade. We'll resolve that in a moment. The Tormentor.
We done together, baby.
Push the button.
I'm just looking all like horrified.
He has pressed a button.
And as the Tormentor hits the edge of the cliff, and it hasn't sort of gone over a jump, you've just sort of driven flat straight at full speed, hoping that top to bottom, you're gonna make that, right?
We're big and heavy. That's the best shot we got.
It's okay. It's gonna be good.
Famous last words.
So Ruse is alongside you in his little compartment of the vehicle, and you start to hear what he's singing, and it's a beautiful rendition of Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Yes.
And 3 bikes hit a jump behind you and start to loop over the Tormentor. The first one gets close to the edge, and as Ruse is singing, the bike just sort of head over, and you see the driver asleep fall into the cabin.
Glorious.
And he's going to wake up at some point at the bottom of that. The bike tumbles and falls past you. The 2 other bikes launch over. One of them lands on top of the harpoon station. Wow. The second goes in front, and as the drivers realise he's overshot, turns around on the bike and goes to jump out towards you as you push the button. Roll to attack.
Plus what?
I'm rolling with the D6 again.
Swarm of monkeys.
Oh,
Do you have a coin?
I do not.
I have a coin.
Do you want to spend
Can I give him my coin?
You're in the vehicle, it makes sense.
Do that.
Spend, roll with advantage.
Alright. That's much better, thank you.
There we go.
Okay, so plus the D6, I guess. 21.
I mean, you're not a violent man. But what's your favourite weapon?
He's a violent cat, though.
It's not a violent cat, that's the problem.
Favorite weapon would be probably the big ball of yarn.
Catnip.
Favorite weapon
What
would
would your
be
spiritual
Of any of the
weapon
weapons
be?
you could buy in a store in D&D, what would your favourite weapon be?
probably classic quarterstaff.
The quarterstaff?
Yes.
So this is not what anyone expects, but the drill front leans forward like a bowed nose, and a barrel extends from the front. And as these bikes come down and the guy's going to jump back, we'll find out how many. Let me get to 100.
8,000 quarterstaffs.
70 rods of wood are shot from the front and pierce through a body and the bike. And as the force from it slows down the Tormentor a bit as you shoot something out the front. However, you see on the other side of the chasm, as these rods sort of lose their momentum and drop, they boom, stab against the back wall, and this guy's pierced with quarterstaffs. And the bike as well is sort of pinned by the wheel and swinging on the other side of the chasm as the Tormentor starts to fall. You roll a luck check for me.
Is that a D20?
Just a straight D20 as to whether the Tormentor had enough speed.
17.
17. You land clunkily on the other side. And during the process of firing and this bike landing on top of you, it has changed the angle a bit from the vehicle being straight on. So when you land, you almost immediately hit a hard skid around, which will potentially throw the bike off, unless.
Unless.
It has a sword in you.
Oh, that's fun.
So the bike has
Better than a quarterstaff.
so the bike's landed on top and has put a sword into you, doing another 10 points of damage.
The first 10 points of damage,
Well,
thank you.
I'm just damage. But when the vehicle lands and starts to turn, you've sort of braced yourself in with this harpoon cannon. However, he hasn't, and so when the vehicle stops, the bike shoots off, the guy starts to pull off, and with you, with a blade in you, you need to make a choice. Are you going to try and hold on to the harpoon cannon, or would you like to go with the momentum of this guy and the blade?
Levitate!
Well, so let's take the assumption here that if I try to stick to the harpoon cannon, this sword is going to come like ripping out of me, doing more damage.
You can imagine so. That's physics.
Yeah, that's physics. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take the advice here and go along with it and levitate myself off of this sword as I'm going up further.
Would you like to levitate yourself, or him, or the sword?
Myself seems like the most optimal play.
Excellent. Okay. no. That's all. Will we resolving anything with your bike?
Yes, I believe so, with the scimitar.
Correct. So I'll come back to that, of course. You've launched off the edge, knowing you've got your scimitar there almost as a gate.
Yeah.
Would you like to literally operate like a gate, or would you just want to leave it there as a blockade?
I want to leave it there as a blockade.
Great choice. So, what was its name?
Demon Grinder.
The Demon Grinder.
The
Tractor from hell.
But I wanted to leave it like somewhat up, so it's more towards wherever the driver's like at head level rather than like in the top.
Okay, so you want it flat, or you want it blade?
Oh, I want it bladed. Yeah.
So the
So it looks
mouth
like it
of the
comes-
demon grinder is chomping away, and it's evident that it's just going to hit the same jump and try to go after you.
Yeah.
But as it sort of gets over that last bump and gets used to the jump, it sees the scimitar and the jaws are opening and closing, and it just opens like. But by having the jaws open, the blade is at cabin height, and it slits through the whole of the track. You see the bottom edge of it go down, and this crumple of what you can only assume is some sort of kraken beast jaw. It just crumples and falls down the edge of the cannon as well. Much whole thing of dune buggies and bikes are launching over the edge after you guys as well. Some of them caught on the scimitar, some of them seemingly parts as they've been chewed up by the cloud of daggers and still rolling. The harpoon that you fired into the edge, some of them are like trying to be tricky about it and like right up the harpoon, but as they right up it slips and guts the tires and the vehicle falls over the edge, and a lot of failure going on. However, your bikes.
Okay, here we go. Before I'm just like, oh shit.
It's very much in a slow-mo scenario where like now you've done what you can, punching like and just smashing the bike. So if I can simulate it, this is the top of you on your bike. It's starting to veer off that way as you punch. This is the top of your bike. He's hit the bottom of it and turned it like that.
Yep.
You are now sort of sword in on the edge of that.
Yep.
So you need to make a choice.
All right.
Are you going to grab onto him as the other car, vehicle, person, and sword fall away? Or are you going to try and stay on that vehicle and hope that it has enough momentum to land on the other side? If you'd like to, you can roll either like a wisdom or something to see if you think you've got enough momentum.
I'd like to do that, yes. As a free action.
Yes. It's a monk judgment thing.
Monk judgment thing. Straight wisdom, insight.
Please, wisdom.
It's wisdom, 9.
9. You're unsure. Most trajectories you're used to are like knives over 20 to 60 feet.
Yep.
This is a launch. You don't know the weight of the bike or the person.
Yep.
And you're a bit unsure. But you've got Thaddeus' bike right next to you. But you are aware grabbing onto that could result in a pretty rip-tearing injury of that sword coming out. Unless you want to try some bullshit of like keeping the sword in you but getting the guy off you.
I mean. Oh, I definitely want to try some sword monk shit.
Let's do it. Yes.
With that, what would you like to try?
Okay. Can I... so he's hit the bike and it's turning, right?
Yep. Yes.
Can I use essentially momentum with the idea of grabbing the bike and flipping the entire thing around so I'm on top of it?
Which bike? Yours or his?
Mine.
Yep.
So
Okay.
I'm not actually touching his bike.
Yep.
So I'm on top of it and essentially like surfing it down. And then if it gets to a point where when it gets
to a point where it looks like I'm just going too far, I'm going to jump.
Now, physics-wise, what's happened is as you're coming towards, Thaddeus' bike is now starting to drift away.
Yep.
There would come a critical fail point where if this bike is too low, you won't be able to jump that far.
I've got step of the wind so I can double my jump distance.
Yep. So these sorts of things will help.
Yep.
Still, to get on the top side and surf this bike,
Yep.
you're going to have the blade come out of you. This guy is still alive as well. He may try to get that blade back in.
Yeah. the idea being when I like swing down, I'm essentially, if I can use his arm, just yank him off as well, if that would be possible.
Okay, so bike sideways, you're trying to pull it down and around again.
Yep, and
yes,
throw him off as well. Yes. That way I come back up surfing it.
Acrobatics or athletics, whatever you prefer.
Acrobatics.
The excision has to be made somehow.
12.
Oh, jeez.
12?
Yep.
Total?
12 total.
So as you're sort of swinging around and you try and shove him off,
Yep.
he kicks the bike up.
Yep.
As he succeeded quite strongly on acrobatics. And you are now sort of tussling with a being with no bike. The blade is still in you, so he can't further attack you. He's managed to save the throwing into the chasm.
Yes.
However, no momentum pushed you further down. It's just been pushing the bike away.
Yep.
So you've lost the bike.
Yep.
You've got Thaddeus' bike starting to drift away.
Yep.
And now nothing to push off of to get closer to Thaddeus' bike. From here, we're just going to have to do full distance instead.
I have got slow fall.
Yes.
Which will help.
Does that work when you're attached to something else?
No, I can essentially, before we hit, can I just throw myself off of him? I will take the damage.
Very cool.
Yeah, I will take the damage, but I'll use Step of the Wind to just throw myself off as far as I possibly can.
Probably better to just either athletics or an attack to just like double foot kick him or something.
Yep.
Just get him off.
I'll roll an attack.
Yep.
Fuck.
Is there anything I can do?
You don't have a coin.
What's the attack?
12.
Okay. So.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. She's got a coin.
Okay.
Like the traveler. Come on, let's go. Let's go to the traveler. Let's
Thanks
get
for saving the boyfriend.
I mean,
That's 20. Thank you.
At this point, I'm just thinking something going, "Fuck, please, please, please.
Walk up the mantra, baby. Let's go.
When you pray to the traveler, you notice that Ruse's song changes as well. As you double foot plant onto him, and as it goes, he loses grip of the blade. So you manage to get momentum pushing him down, raising you up. You still have a sword in you. However, you are now able to use slow fall over the cliff with nothing inhibiting.
Yep.
Was there anything left to resolve? You pierced some guy against a frigging wall and landed.
I'm getting flung from my turret.
Correct.
Decent health.
So from here, the bike's gone.
Yep.
As when you landed, the bike skidded off. The guy's going with you.
Yep.
You cast levitate on yourself. Yes.
Yep.
So as
I'm going up and over him, I want to go up and have that sword come out of me naturally.
So if you just got to allow that to happen, it will be. I'm so sorry, 11 points of damage.
Ow.
But by doing that and completely slowing the fall of yourself, you watch as the guy beneath you follows his bike. And then collide with his bike.
Excellent timing.
Now, from there, you've landed. And all of your actions are resolved.
Yep.
Ruse's song has changed, but you can't hear it. It's no longer Somewhere Over the Rainbow, but you're not sure what the song is at this point. The fifth and final round. Your vehicle spins out, and you notice that a lot of the levers of speed and whatnot have gone limp.
Oh no.
The vehicle has stopped. However, all the weapon manuals seem to be active, and you're more than welcome to open the dome and do as you please.
All the buttons.
Press the monkey button.
Notice all the monkey buttons.
The beast vehicle.
No, the
now,
skin one.
let's do a
Skin
percentage
ball.
of this.
Skin ball. Press the skin ball.
Only 40% of the vehicles that are engaging with you manage to make it over the chasm or survive the landing on the other side. The one that is an issue is the barge that was on your tail of the Tormentor. Very, very strange that this long, thin, almost ram of a vehicle goes over, and like a train going over like bad railings on the end, it just goes, and the lengths behind it and the carriages behind it go with it, and it's basically bearing down on top of the tormented position.
Like Back to the Future 3 with the train that's going. Yep.
So the front end of this is not a drill like yours. It is similar to the jaws of the creature from the demon grinder. It is much more pointed though. As you get closer, you notice in amongst as it gets closer, I'm sorry, you notice among it there are teeth, but moreover there is a Garistro skull right in the center, and its horns point firmly towards the vehicle that you, not only you, and Ruse are inside. What else is there that butters?
I'm floating in some random point in space right now.
This was, I had to say this one. Remember that demon beast I told you that was like chasing after you on all fours?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it tries to jump a cliff. And
That was clever of it.
it's got some pretty good speed. It launches.
Yeah.
But as you sort of see it flying and sort of full arm stretch going for it, he's ready, he's coming, it's screeching at you. It's very firmly looking at you guys and sort of chasing after your bikes as it goes. And then it starts to just get a bit lower, and you just lose track of it. Until
I'm too worried about one.
you hear as it pierces itself on the quarterstaffs and rods. From there, there are a lot of the bikes that manage to succeed in their landing. The dune buggies often land front wheels first, crash, smash their drivers or their guys on the pikes. The bigger vehicles don't tend to have momentum, but as I said, this barge seems to be one of the successful vehicles. The other larger vehicles seem to have stopped at the edge of the cliff, and some of the bikes gave up and didn't decide to make it. But you'd estimate there's about 6 bikes that have succeeded. There's one dune buggy that seems to have a driver still alive, and the barge bearing down on the tormentor. So, with that being the situation, what would you like to do in this round of action?
Is my bike still not cleared yet?
Your bike seems to be able to make it, and you are going to be using your slow fall.
Excellent. Yeah, I was just going to say, so what's happening on my situation?
Distance. It's 10 feet D6, yes?
Yeah, 10, a D6 per 10 feet.
Yeah.
I can reduce that full damage by 20.
So what I'm going to do is be very lenient in that the fall is the direct down. I'm not going to include the gut-forward distance you actually travel.
Yeah.
So the physics... we'll say 100.
Can we just say that I just land and just like baseball slide?
We'll see.
How many of your bones?
Find out.
7, 8, 13... I'm so sorry, numbers. 17, 18, 24, 27, 29, 30 total.
I take 10 points of damage.
Nice.
So as you come down, how would you like to land? Bearing in mind you do take a little bit damage.
Yeah. Can I?
And you do have a sword in there.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is, as I'm coming down, I'm seeing that I'm gonna hit the ground. I know that I need to roll. I can't do that with a sword in me, so I'm gonna just yank that fucker out.
Yep.
So I'll take damage. I'll try to do it carefully, but rushed.
So that's 11 points of damage.
What are you down to?
I am down to 4 hit points.
Oh shit!
So I'm just going to tear that out, and I'm just going to throw that down, blade first, so it hits and starts sliding, and just try to land on that, so I can use that to slide.
Baseball slide?
Baseball slide.
And what's going to happen there is Dace's bike comes down, albeit a little bit off kilter, and as it lands, much like the Tormentor, skids, wheels around, and as it wheels around, you sort of trying to gain control, and in the dust kick up and whatnot, you see Kip skateboarding towards you on a sword in an immense amount of pain. You're going to collide with each other, however, you're on a bike moving, and he just grabs onto your shoulder, swings up, hops onto the back of the bike. As you are riding around, you ride towards, like looping around again on a bit of a swerve. You head back and you see the Tormentor with Ruse and smoke inside of it, and you see a shadow looming and bearing down upon it.
As I land, I just kind of want to go, hey honey, how's your day going?
I hate it when you go out and spend time with all the fellas. I want to like drive up and just be like, move! Just like,
Smoke
you motherfucker!
The Tormentor's like engine is shot, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, all of the levers and the pedals, you're sort of kicking at them and pulling at the levers, and they all seem limp for the driving mechanics of it.
Yeah.
But as I said, some of the weapon ones are still active. Again, the sort of drop weapons, you figure probably not so great when you're not moving. The rear weapons, you are sort of facing sideways, so rear weapons won't shoot into the chasm, and front weapons won't shoot into the chasm. However, there are bikes that have landed and are sort of swarming. You could try and do something with what the vehicle has capable, but you are aware of an increasing darkness above you, and you look up and do see what is like a giant train coming down from the Tormentor.
The last thing you hear me scream while I like kick it up and drive away is press the skin ball and run!
Smoke presses the skin ball and runs.
Alright, so as you
Calls out to Ruse to do the same.
As you sort of punch this button on the side, it's on the frontal weapon panel, and you push it and it squishes and sort of like bursts like a big pimple, but blood, and it just smears across the front of the control panel. And as you press it and sort of start trying to yell out to Ruse, knowing that it's crashed and he's sort of trying to hold on, looks into the cabin and sees like smoke yelling and then this burst of blood, and runs down and pulls the cover up for you. Sees that you're actually okay, and we'll let you run off. Thinking quickly about what he can actually do to get out of there, like knowing you very, very fast, and this thing is very, very big, he's going to cast Enhance Ability on himself and give himself Cat's Grace to start to get the hell out of there.
No, he's got feeling ability, he's fine.
And from there, you're riding towards the Tormentor, we're running away, your bike has landed.
How close am I to the other two?
You'd be at a distance, you sort of drift off to the right.
Yeah.
From there though, you've got two bikes that have landed further to the right of you, one that's landed between the Tormentor and yourself, and then the other three are in the distance over to be dealt with by the boys.
Alright, I'm going to go ahead and recast Spiritual Weapon and see if I can jam another bike, and then also use Toll the Dead on the other bike. So I've got two bikes either side, isn't it? Spiritual Weapon one, Toll the Dead the other.
Yep. So the Spiritual Weapon has been sort of shunted a bit by all the vehicles crashing into it.
Yeah, so I'm creating a new one, or like resummoning it basically.
So as this scimitar disappears and some of the vehicles have been trying to dodge it, it disappears like, and more of them sort of careen across there to the cliff. But this new one appears and starts to race towards one of the bikes. Do you have to roll attack on that?
Actually, the original Spiritual Weapon should be there, because it should still be there, because it's not a concentration spell and I'm recasting it.
Wouldn't the old one go then?
Not necessarily, because it's not a concentration spell, so it wouldn't cancel that technically.
Alright, well it's still there causing a ruckus.
Yeah.
Your new one, however, do you have to roll attack with that?
Yes I do.
Do
And
so.
It's going to be... Okay, please be low.
Oh.
Okay, that's a 2.
That's pretty low.
Yeah.
So the bike...
Because I rolled... Oh wait, no, yeah, a 2, because I rolled an 18.
So the bike with its juking ability sort of swerves and tries to go around it. At first it was going to bypass you, but knowing that you've attacked it, it sort of starts to head towards you with a ram. Told it on the other one.
Yeah, so that's a wisdom save on that part. DC 13.
Gong. It succeeds. The bell rings behind it and it sort of careenes on through. It's heading towards the Tormentor and towards the fleeing on foot Smoke and Ruse.
Yeah, my luck was used last turn, I think.
So you've got one bike leaving you and two now. One of them's trying to ram you, one of them's trying to go around you.
Actually, I could still technically use my other charge of True North on that 3 that I switched and then flip it again to be an 18.
Yep, okay.
So I'm going to do that.
Roll damage on Toll the Dead.
Oh no, I'm not talking about Told Dead, I'm talking about Spiritual Weapon.
Okay, yep. Roll damage.
Yep, so that
Definitely roll
is
damage.
D8. That's an 8.
Okay. That's enough for a mishap. So the scimitar goes out and starts to pierce through the front wheel of the bike. It cuts it and pops it, but the bike still is able to move. But it is having a lot of trouble on its dex save, we would say.
Yeah.
As it rides towards you with only one functioning wheel. He decides the best way for doing this is pop a wheelie and ride towards you with this trashed wheel in the front and is heading at you. its intent seems to be to just hit you with the body of the vehicle. From there, the lads. You are now both on the bike together.
Yep.
There are 3 bikes around you that have landed, 2 sort of distance, and 1 between the Tormentor and you guys.
So, and we can see what we've seen, everything that's happened.
You're seeing Smoke and Ruse running away from what is clearly going to be a big impact of this barge.
Oh, should we pick them up?
Get me another bike. Alright, we need
The
more
bikes that
vehicles.
landed, were they with riders or without?
Oh, any bike that landed without a rider has exploded. There are 6 that are functioning. 1, as I said, between you and the Tormentor, and 2 behind you. All seemingly heading towards the Tormentor itself.
Hey, so what we did before, part 2, electric boogaloo, yeah? Up to the one in front, so that the one in between us and the Tormentor, I can get on that, and then we can
Have that and
Excellent. So, you're just trying to get a grapple onto it, or are you trying to kick it off?
I'm trying to kick the rider off and then run up and grab the bike and keep going.
Yeah, I want to
Sort of jump on the bike, whatever works.
As you are riding, you hear a whisper in this woman voice of Ruse.
Yep.
That seems a lot closer than Ruse is to you. You still don't know who it is. However, you gain 14 hit points.
Nice.
She is my Evandra right now. Technically invented halflings.
So you're attacking. So roll your attack to.
You're an elf.
I know. I love halflings.
Yeah, I see.
Yes. Fuck, natural 1.
You were saying?
So Thaddeus rides his bike towards this one in the middle. They're not even looking, but as you decide to launch a flying crane kick or something.
It was more so like as we get close, still on the bike, kick them off, and then jump onto the bike. I've taken too many risks.
So from a natural 1, as you try to kick the bike, he's just sort of landed, getting bearings, and just he starts to rev the bike in. You go to kick, and you kick the back wheel, and get your foot singed up in the wheel for a bit.
Yep.
It only does 3 points of damage.
That's 14 points of damage. And I would have just slice the face, just
Yep. So you're riding through. You hear this sort of and it's like a foot in a wheel behind you, and shing out the sword. Roll your attack.
21.
21. Yeah. So you shing out the sword to sort of go on guard kind of thing, but as you shing out, it's like whoosh through his head. And, all right.
Got you something nice, sweet. And
So he falls limp from the bike, and as Kid gets back off the bike and recovers his footing, you mount the bike. Use your bonus action to start her up, and you're ready to roll. Is there anything you'd like to do with that bike from there? Probably a little bit more movement.
yeah, I'd like to start moving towards the other 2 bikes.
So you're going back?
Yeah.
So Kip's heading that way, you're going that way?
Yeah, I'm going to try and take it out.
I'm somewhere in the air as I understand it.
I have a sword in you, which is great.
Yeah, that's good.
You're probably about 40 feet behind where the Tormentor is now.
Right.
Again, occasions of physics and things.
Yeah.
When the barge hits and starts to crunch, it's just going to crunch backwards.
Yeah.
In that 40 feet range.
Yeah.
You might still want to move.
Yeah. How shitty is this angle looking? Is it going to crash into the earth, or is it going to keep going?
Oh, it's going to crash.
Okay.
It's heavy.
Okay.
And sort of going over the cliff, it sort of started to curve straight away, and it's just sort of.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah.
It's not. It was not built for jumping chasms. It was built for ramming you, but you went too fast.
Truly is.
That's true. Yeah. I don't have. Okay. How high in the air am I?
I'd give you 20 feet. It's nothing crazy.
That's good, because that's something I can get to the ground with. Because I can't go forward with levitate. I'm just going to get to the ground and try to. We're not going to. God damn. I'm just going to go across, parallel to the edge of the chasm.
Yep.
Basically until there's not barge shadow over top me.
Yep. Alright, so you're getting closer to the chasm?
Parallel to it.
Yep. You're going to head towards Clary or towards the boys?
For some reason I thought it was the same direction. I'll go towards.
Clary's off. Clary, if you're looking at the face of the chasm, Clary's off to the right, and the boys are off to the left, although Kip's just got on the bike and seems to be heading towards you.
Okay, I seems to. I mean, yeah, well, since that's the direction we're going, I guess I'll head towards Clary.
Okay, yep. Ruse and Smoke in front of you, and they've just ran towards the tower.
Yeah.
Yes, alright. What would you like to do with me while we're running?
Do we have any eggnog on us?
Is that my turn? That's a question.
Divine intervention. Let's go.
2 rocks fall
Steamroll
from the
through.
sky. You don't know where they fell from, but these 2 stones just fall and just knock you on the head as you're running. It's so strange that rocks would fall, but anyway.
Keep running towards the tower.
However, you do check your pockets and don't find eggnog.
Keep running towards the tower.
Yep.
And then just, I guess, what do I have? Maybe just ready a guiding bolt in case anything that can be hit.
No, excellent.
Range.
Okay, Larry.
Alright, so.
You've got 1 bike fellow sees you bearing down you, 1
Yeah.
between you and myself and Smoke, and we seem to be in bike danger.
My least favorite kind of danger.
I've used both my action and my bonus action already, so I forgot this number.
It's a full action sequence. You've got.
Oh, okay.
If he's going to come to you, you've got another round of doing things. Otherwise,
All right.
just go, I'll pull sword out of myself. Next action sequence, please.
Yeah, fair. Okay, let's think. So where are the bikes in relation to me
Yeah.
and the other people?
So, tormented vehicle here.
Yeah, Tomato.
Bike in front of you, going that way towards us.
Yeah.
You're there, another bike behind you. There's a dune buggy that seems to have crashed roughly where Raz was floating, and the creature inside of that is climbing out of it and trying to be involved as well.
I'm just here to be part.
Okay, I think I want to come pick up someone who's been running at the moment.
Okay. You'd probably be faster than me, so the closest one to you will be Ruse. However, you've got to go past a bike to get there.
Alright, as I'm going past the bike, I want to still... The spiritual weapon's still in one of the things. I want to use the spiritual weapon again to see if I can really kind of... Because it was still coming after me, wasn't it?
Yes.
Because I made it malfunction, but it's still coming after me. So I want to just make sure that one's dead and
Yes.
done.
Sorry, yes, you got 2 bikes. No, anyway, one thing I will say for you is Ruse, as he's running, draws something from his bag.
Okay.
7,000 daggers.
Lean forward, because I shit you not, it's a nat 20.
Yep. It's that 20.
You don't know who this is, but Ruse, much like Captain America, slings your shield towards you.
Oh my god, yeah!
As Cat's Grace, extra speed and whatnot, he turns, does a bit of a circle and whips it at you. He takes the head clean off of the bike in front of you, and as it comes towards you, you can tell that if you raise your hand, it'll just slot on.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Nice.
And you regain your shield. So yes, you still have 2 bikes behind you. One's popping a wheelie, and one is just a normal, decent bike.
Alright, that was my AC 15 again. Alright, I'm gonna go for the one that's currently popping the wheelie, try and make the sacred flame like take out the other wheel.
Great. Okay. Dex
Not the
save.
sacred flame. No, not
No,
sacred
it's
flame,
okay.
sorry. It's too many different sacred / spiritual weapon.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Go for it. Roll your attack.
Alright. That's a 16. But wait, no, technically it's a 9.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it got flipped by True North.
Yeah.
Can you flip it again?
Ah.
No, because I flipped it again for the other one, so now the next roll I did had to be a 9.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that got flipped.
Roll a d6.
D6? Alright. That's a 2.
So as the blade goes towards it, the shield is spinning, rings, and it rings to a tune which is strange. It's never done this before.
Is it the Avengers theme?
Okay, you beat me to it.
Goddamn, Maria.
But it's so strange that the shield travels all the way to you and lands in your hand. As the blade casts out from your hand again and slashes at the bike. It's behind the bike at the time, and the bike's still trying to race forward. As it's sort of popping its wheelies coming forward, you hear another cutting sound of rubber being slashed, and the bike skids into the dirt, lands a little bit forward, and the body of this creature flips forward. Takes a couple of a tumble. Does not succeed on a dex save and is at your feet, prone.
I'm gonna run over it.
Excellent. So you start looking up again and just off you go.
Yeah, because I'm gonna go pick up Bruce.
Yeah. So pull it over a back wheel burnout on its head, just and off you go. There is still a bike that's going to be chasing you in that situation, but you've dealt with 2 of them now. So
And I can still use my action, so I'm gonna use Hold the Dead.
of course. Yep, we save.
Yep, we save 13.
It fails.
Hasn't taken any damage.
That one probably from jumping that far.
Alright, I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check.
It's a D12,
It's a D12, yeah. So let me find my D12 because I haven't had to use it.
No, right, there it is.
That's all. Okay,
That one?
Yep.
And that's a 1.
He's like running away. He's like, nah.
Yeah, so annoyed him a bit.
Well, that was the way I was here.
What is this song? Anyway, Matt, sorry, Smoke. You're further ahead towards the tower. You're actually getting quite close to it now. It is a very imposing tower of stone and rock. The door in front of you does seem to be open, but outside of that, you know there are still a few vehicles behind you, still a bit of hollering, and the barge is very close to hitting the ground at this point.
How far away is the barge?
Would you like to wait for it to hit the ground?
I would not.
Because as I told you about the angle of it, it's kind of gone over. It's going to hit and probably crumble towards us still. We've been running away from it, but...
I know you're gonna go like parallel or like opposite, so it's you're not in like the direct path.
Prometheus school of running away from things.
It looks like it's going to hit. Or
It looks like it's definitely the level tormentor, and as it crumbles, parts of it will probably fall backwards, but a lot of parts of it are going to flop over towards us.
Okay.
I'm
And
gonna try and run towards my bike because I'm still with Bruce. So
I'm ready to dodge actually. The door, you said it appears to be open.
Yes.
Does it appear to be trapped?
You're probably too far away to tell.
Okay.
If you just wanted to hit full speed, feel agility again, I'm hitting that door, you could make it in this round, but you wouldn't be able to make an investigation check, you'd just be at the door.
Okay.
But that would be like strenuously booking it to get there.
And what else? Smoke hears a voice suddenly in the mind.
Shouting do it over and over again.
Goes for it.
Alright, so you book it and you are there for the next round.
Yep, that's the movement, so I didn't have to use the guiding bolt, so that's just gone.
You can fire it off if you want.
Okay, I fire it off.
Yep, roll attack.
If you fire it off at me, I swear to God.
Nah.
Oh, 16.
16? Yep. Do you want to hit the biker that's chasing Clary, or do you want to start smearing out the ones on the other side?
The one that's chasing fire.
Yep. So, as we're sort of rushing forward and you're heading towards me to pick up Ruse, a guiding bolt shoots past you at a bigger range than what you're used to seeing guiding bolts travel at, and clean hits the guy in the chest and throws him back off the bike. He hears and like sort of skids off around you. And Smoke's managed to take that one out. You boys on the other side. Let's get back to you.
So what's the situation?
So you got two bikes behind you. Yep. You got one in front of you that you're probably pretty close to at this point. Oh no, you took the one out. You're on it.
Yeah.
So there's two bikes behind you, and there's a guy that's climbed out of the dune buggy where Raz was previously. He's now heading towards you. But there's a guy climbing out of the dune buggy. It's like a four-legged. His hands look like just bone extensions, kind of thing, and he's climbing out. Although at this stage, doesn't seem to be too worried about the barge above him.
Do you want to get Raz or?
I was thinking we both take out the bikes, we pick up Raz, we leave.
Plan one each.
We're gonna do more couples outings. Otherwise, to go towards the two.
All right, so
Sword up, like just full on, like
just joust.
Yeah, I'll draw my dagger actually.
Excellent. All right, so roll your attacks.
the added bonus of speed. 24.
13.
Excellent. So both the bikes riding, one of them pulls a shield from his back and sort of places it in the front like a jousting shield. And as you've got the sword, you sort of get closer and closer and closer. Idiot! And you're over the top. And you sort of like scalp the back of it and clean off the back of his helmet. You see the bike spin off into the dust. With 13, however, you're sort of riding up and he's popped his shield up.
Yep.
You got the dagger and you think, it's probably not going to work unless, as you get closer, at the, like just beating his AC of 12, you sort of spin around the shield and throw it behind him. He sort of clocks it and pins the back of his head to his shield. And he's and he can't see where he's going. He's driving forward and starts to like careen towards the tormentor. Doesn't seem to be losing balance, however, so he's just driving at the vehicle.
Because he's held perfectly straight.
But there's a lot of like demonic Sounding very similar to his own bike.
Yeah. Would I be able to, like getting the end, spin around, start making my way to...
Back towards Raz. Yes. So, in a moment, much like Star Wars.
Okay.
Everything goes silent. As you're all watching the barge coming closer and closer to where the torment is. And as it starts to get closer, you see creatures that were riding on the edge of this, hanging off of it, have just given up and have jumped off. And like, this isn't going to work. And the driver inside of it has popped the front of the cabin. You can see he's climbing, but, has not judged this well. And the front of it pierces down into the ground. You can tell it's gone in about 50 feet into the ground with the weight and the pressure and the build of this machine, crushing the Tormentor straight into the ground. The first few carriages that were hanging off the back that seemed to be holding people, weapons, who knows what, start to crumple and fall forwards as well. And as the first one slams down in front of the actual barge, the next one slams down in front, and you can see where Clary's just skidded up and got Ruse onto the bike and turned away. A whole carriage slams down onto there, parts of it fall off, metal shards fly away, and as we're riding away, a lot of them are skidding past. One of them clips the back of the wheel, and you start to skid a bit. The front end that you're at, you see this sort of small, almost caboosey sort of carriage in the middle, though, which is good, is disconnected during the fall and has sort of fallen, spinning tumble over. And in the back end of it is like this sort of Minotaur-esque creature. It's not a Garistro, just a
Oh, thank goodness.
It's about to be dead anyway.
and it's in a cage.
Fake Minotaur.
Like it was to be released
I could talk to it.
as an attack sort of thing, and it's hanging over the bars of the cage and shaking them as it's the cage is falling, and you're at the door. You made all this effort to run full speed up there, and the cage lands maybe 60 feet away from you and bounces.
You do speak them.
And it comes forward another 20 feet and skids in the sand and flips. And it comes forward another 20 feet and skids again and comes to a grinding halt in front of you with a Minotaur inside.
Talk to him.
See what happens.
The carriages in the centre have started to disconnect as they've gone all the way over, and some of them are falling back, landing and falling back against it. This dim, fiendish, bony creature that was trying to crawl out behind, he's got up, just looked around, he's seen you guys, and you can tell he's clocked you. He's like, goes to run and flattened. The carriage just crushes him straight into the sand.
Just kiss my symbol of death.
And from there, you're out of combat. Anything remaining is up on the other side of the cliff, and he's either going to loop around back and try and make the jump, or cannot make the jump with the vehicles they have. There is a lot of wreckage around you. There is a lot of broken metal and bone and skids of blood everywhere from the creatures that were obviously inside the barge. Parts of it are exploding or burning, and you can hear weapons firing that you're not sure. You've never come across gunpowder before, but there are explosives going off that seem like maybe Tonks in there. Who knows? It's Fireball City. However, you're at the door. There is a cage in front of you that has a motionless, currently, Minotaur in it that's taken a big old fall and slam.
Oh, motionless. I would like to see if it's try to determine if it's dead or if it's alive.
You can make a medicine check. Roll that for me. Where would you like to take Ruse on the bike?
I think I'd like to head up towards the tower. Is Raz still like?
I'm still on foot somewhere.
Oh, actually, in which case, I mean, if they got like
There's an
towards
intercept course happening.
Yeah, well, DM as well, with that excellent mind picture that you're playing for that as well. Can I wait for the moment, like, you know, like with that shot of the Hindenburg when it's like at its worst? I'd like to start sketching that, like that collision.
You're driving.
No, I stop and I'm like,
Now, here's the thing. Being in the dream plane, and a lot of crazy shit has happened, as you pull up your paper and start to want to sketch it, it is sketching for you. And much like how Ruse burned that symbol into the timber panel next to the thing, your paper gets a burnt image of perfect shading and cell shading of this wreckage.
I quietly say, a dream god, while you're at it, can you just put like the total death count underneath?
Is this in a notebook?
Yes.
So as you flip to the next page, you realise that it flips over as a flip book showing the crash in motion, and on the final page there is a number, but it's all like scratch marks of the death count. And at the base of that is a small symbol that looks a bit like that.
Buckle it back up. Wipe my head tip. And make my way to
roll perception while you're driving. Oh, while you're driving, at disadvantage, please.
Okay, yep, fair. This is gonna be fun. What's my other die gone? Just hiding from it.
If this isn't in the real world, I'm gonna be very sad.
Yeah.
You will be.
No.
You will be very sad.
That's like a 5.
5?
Like
Yeah.
7. Yeah. I rolled a 5 and an 8, so we're back on par.
There's some wriggling on the bike behind you, but you don't feel the need to turn around and notice anything.
No.
Your bike. Mm-hmm. What would you like to be doing? We are out of combat.
Yeah, so he's picking up Raz, so I'm just going to ride up to where everyone else is, which is
towards the tower.
Towards the tower, yeah.
Yep. He was at 1, wasn't it? Yeah. So as you sort of go, you want to know if this Minotaur was all right, and you reach in and you take it by the horns and sort of raise the head up, and as you lift the head up, you realise that the head comes very easily from what is a large Minotaur. And then you realise that the bars underneath where it's all been hitting are quite, like, they're not round bars like a prison cell. These were like meant to deter it from touching them. So as it's landed, it's sort of sliced and cut itself from every landing and gashed itself, and you lift the head just straight up.
And I guess, do I imagine that that I had some role in that?
You absolutely.
Yes.
Hawk flies down and lands on your shoulder.
Oh, Hawk,
familiar
where were you when I needed you?
Hawk lands on your shoulder and pecks at your cheek as if to say, "Of course you didn't do this, you idiot."
I'm gonna roll for hurt feelings.
It's high. It's very high.
You rolled an 8.
Just driving up on the bike with Raz and like, hey, good clean kill!
Yeah, you see Smoke holding up a Minotaur head, just looking at it like.
Smoke. I didn't think you had it in you, Pat.
Neither did I. I really
You
didn't.
always get the kills.
Oh. Hey, there's a flip book. And I got the death count. It's big.
It's amazing. Seriously. Holy shit.
Bruce
What just happened?
Bruce smiles and ignores this, but still pointing up at the tower like this.
I just, just skid the bike up and go, well, that was one of the more exciting dreams I've ever had.
And I woke up and I just flipped the book.
Holy shit, you nearly died.
I just watch that and I go, nice, hold that thought. I'm just like gonna cough up just this gout of blood.
Just like pat him on the back and just I can't even feel it. It's okay.
Hold his hair.
I think it's
long hair.
I mean, I wouldn't say no. I think that really fucked up my insides. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I'll go over and hand shoulder and cast Cure Wounds, so.
Thank you.
Friends, this is the safer version of the dream plane. I want you to know this.
This is safe.
This is what you can access when you are warded.
Oh,
Tattoos.
shit.
Oh!
They keep you safe from
I'm
the
sorry.
places we have already been.
I'm sorry.
Cure Wounds.
I want to believe you, and I will in time, but right now I'm just gonna.
It's a lot, I know.
I'll believe you if when I wake up this is really in my book.
You are
wisdom modifiers.
Yeah.
We've never been awake before.
And then
not
he
here
points to the top of the tower, and the beam of blue light that's casting out to the clouds, it's weaker than it was before.
I took the healer's feet.
Yeah.
And Rue says, she holds the door open, but it is weaker than we had planned. We must go.
Kids.
Does it look like there's a window at the top?
It's very high.
Damn it.
But there is.
Okay. Okay.
And you've already used left hand.
I know. Is it? Oh, has there only been a minute since then?
There was quite some time.
Damn it. Okay, fine.
But yeah, you head into the tower, and it's sorry. You go.
So just before, as everyone's going in, I just want to pull Clary back, and just go. Now, cheers for that. Does the traveler does he ever like contact you?
He doesn't necessarily contact me per se, but, well, I mean, and I pull out the compass and I'm like, well,
Because, like, I heard a voice in my head, and, like, well, I heard two voices in my head, really. One was quite familiar, and the other one just kind of happened and told me, he sort of said, jump. Like, it whispered jump to me. And
you heard, like, most of you heard those same whispers that were just the encouragement general ones, but throughout it, a lot of the main feats that you succeeded in, there was whispers in your head from that same voice, just sort of specifically saying, now, or like, push the skip button. Like, you know, there was very, there was a lot of voices.
Do it. Monkey's gone.
There was a voice that not yet.
Quite cool, calm, husky almost, kind of like a gentleman sitting back, smoking like a cigar, a bottle of brandy in his hand.
It wasn't, but having this discussion, roll a history check, it was a female voice.
No, I was thinking about the specific traveler.
When she did the thing, I thought also a cool flavorful
Bottle of brandy in the hand?
Yeah.
Was that a glass?
Pretty sure it's a bottle.
So what are we looking for? That's a 15 plus proficiency.
Must have been the accent.
19.
So history-wise, you know now, you've slotted it after all of this commotion, the female voice that Ruse has been using and you heard whispered over all the noise was A. However, history-wise, with a 19, you can't pick where the male voice came.
Yeah.
It's not one you've heard before. It's not one, even with a 19, you know it wasn't one Ruse has ever mimicked. It's not one you know. It's never one, not someone you met, and even when you first met the traveller, it wasn't the voice from then.
Was it
Your expression?
Yeah, well, I was just going to ask, was it the same voice for the hooded figure who gave me the flower on the ship when I first went into the Dreamworld?
That I don't know, because that's a Cody thing that I wasn't privy to. However, I'll say no for now.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, the traveler takes up various guises. So.
Roll for Cody.
Roll for being Cody, yeah.
Call Cody. No.
But yeah, you did hear just before Ruse started going upstairs, he said she holds the door open, but it is weaker than we had planned, and is directing you all to go.
Yeah.
I'll just quickly also, I'll just sort of look over at Sarah and say, now, when I did, I noticed you looking. So, thank you, I guess.
You're welcome. I'm glad you're still here. Alright.
I laid my head out, I was like, what are you two talking about?
Does
Tending my wounds.
Okay then.
Does anyone else need healing?
I'm still just following Ruse at this point, guys. Jesus.
I'm not sure it's all in.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll speedily walk away and stuff like that.
Can I dream of a healer's kit?
It doesn't work like that. So
Sweet sketchbooks.
for the sake of brevity, I won't describe the whole climb, but it isn't trepidatious or anything. It's just consistent, sharp stairs that just loop around in weird places. As you get to the peak, though, there is a ladder. You've been climbing for some time now, and you're all very, very tired by now. Not exhaustion level, but you know it's been a big day. It's still hot as shit. It's still sweaty as hell, and you can still feel 3 suns beating down on you from outside. There are some engine noises. You feel like maybe things have managed to backtrack and try and make the jump, but nothing's going to make it up the stairs after you quick enough, from what you can tell. At the peak, there is a ladder with a trapdoor above it. And as you climb up through it, you enter into a short alcove. There's a box in front of you on a pedestal, and a small blue window behind you that's very well lit, considering everything around you has been red or dust or black. And to your left is the room underneath your HQ. You see the dome over your sleeping bodies. You see the alchemy sets bubbling away. But you see Ruse's clothes on the floor are empty, and there is a sort of white paste across the floor. And then the Ruse next to you, his eyes blink to blue with the clouds once more, and the soft female voice comes through, which you now know who it is. And she says, "I'm sorry. I couldn't get you all through. My power wanes from holding the link. This light bridge can only bear one. And with his dream ward broken, Ruse cannot return. He only had enough ink to do 5 tattoos. Not enough to redo his own. I feel he perhaps knew, but such are his gifts. Ruse can rest with me, and we can strengthen the connection to your world together." You mustn't speak my name. But if you need to talk to us, use the locker. And Ruse takes off the bag of holding. And who would like it?
Who's the biggest? Gonna be
Ruse hands you the bag of holding and all of its contents.
Oh my god.
Glorious.
I will treasure it forever.
You've got a locket.
The boomerang dives off the bag of holding, however, as it was strapped outside, and runs back to his side, climbing back up his overalls and onto his hand. You will be here soon. You will be close. We can defeat them, and we can save the realm. You can save the realm. And then the eyes blink back to black, and Rouge extends his hands to hug you all, including Thaddeus.
Especially that,
It's
yes.
been a crazy time, little man.
I had hoped that we could all make this journey together, but we ran out of time. And the Tears of Eldath are hard to find. But this way I can assure safety in your travels from afar. It's what I've always wanted for all of you. But I had something done. I called in another favor, much like the vehicles. Here. And he steps behind the box and opens it up. And even though it's a small box, he reaches in and starts to procure items. First of all, he hands to Smoke. Smoke, your peaceful nature is not welcome in all places. You know this, but it should be respected. And I hope this item encourages this. This is the Sanctuary Shield. And while you hold it, you will gain the effects of the Sanctuary spell. Once you attack something, though, it will not be affected by the shield. I hope it helps you stay safe. And you can jot that down in your inventory.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thaddeus, my friend, I have not known you long, but this was always a fun toy over the centuries. This is the decanter of endless water. You can remove the stopper and speak one of the 3 command words, whereupon an amount of fresh water or salt water, your choice, will pour out of the flask for approximately 6 seconds. The command words are stream, fountain, or geyser for times when you need a dangerous amount of water.
I like the sound of that.
The best.
Stream, geyser, and fountain.
Raz, my fast-fingered friend, this may look like I am giving you nothing.
Because I am. Fuck
But try these on. They are the gloves of thievery, and they are invisible while worn. And Ruse extends his hands out and starts pulling in his fingers and takes off a set of gloves, which then appear, and he hands them to you. And he's been wearing them always.
So that's how we got all the knives.
While wearing them, you get a +5 bonus to dexterity sleight of hand checks and dexterity checks made to pick locks. Kip, I wanted to make sure the finest of my knife collection does not go to waste. So they are mostly all in the bag.
I can appreciate that.
What we didn't cover is there was a point where he just closed the bag and the cloud of daggers all swarmed back to him like a squadron of crows.
Yeah.
However, there's also this. It's not really my speed. You know, the knives are too small. And he hands you the bracer of flying daggers. The armband appears to have thin daggers strapped to it, and as an action you can pull up to 2 magical daggers from the bracer and immediately throw them, making a ranged attack with each dagger. The dagger vanishes if you don't hurl it right away, so you can't hold an action.
Yep.
And the daggers disappear right after they hit or miss. The bracer never runs out of daggers.
Nice.
Oh, good shooting, friend.
I give him a wink. As he takes him.
And Clarinet,
Thank you.
a new follower, but I am glad that you tread the path. Any follower of mine so headstrong and keen should bear the weapon of my faith. This is the scimitar of speed.
I run up and just hug him.
And before you worry that you've never trained with or wielded a scimitar, you are proficient with just this one.
Only this one.
I mean, I've practiced with a spiritual weapon. Surely it counts for something.
So you got a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with the weapon. In addition, you can make an extra attack as a bonus action on each of your turns.
Nice.
So you don't have wasted bonus action spells all the time.
Cool.
It is my role in the world. It's how I've always been known, the giver of gifts. And now, back to your plane. I will join her and strengthen her connection to you.
Before we go, I just look at him and I sort of like look away shyly. I'm just like, well, you disappeared from your clothes, but I scattered like all your other clothes. Is there a chance maybe you popped up in those instead?
What? I don't understand the question.
I was trying to be like touching and say that maybe you'll never mind. Fuck you. I start drinking some water. I'm like, stream. Yeah, just stream.
It's very hot. Maybe a problem for hobgoblins,
Did you just say give her gifts?
Yes, what have I done? I have given gifts.
I give an even bigger hug, and yeah.
You should never trust anything that I say.
Accurate. So he is alive in the world, and some of the clothes that I scattered around.
I want to walk up to him and just sort of like shake his hand and just go, I still expect you to be pinching my daggers here and there.
You're missing one.
My daggers now. All 260 of them.
No, it was 259 now.
Dang.
So yeah, your bodies are in the center of the room, underneath Liam's tiny hut. And yeah, what would you like to do? Bruce starts to step back towards the little blue window.
I open my sketchbook and just spend as much time looking at that, the most dramatic of the a scene, and just try to remember it just in case.
On the corner of the page, like an image starts to show up again, and roll a perception.
Luck. Lost luck. Not much better. I'm going to use my hobgoblin feat of saving face and +5 for all my 5 allies that are near me to that, so that's 14. And plus is that perception?
Yes.
17.
So as you are like kind of looking at the sketchbook to look at the flipbook thing, and the corner starts to change a little, you notice that as Ruse is walking away, his hands sort of twiddling, and you get an image on the corner of Ruse's face, and then he touches the light window and is gone, and seems to shoot off through the portal. Would you like to turn the pages? As you start to flip through, his face contorts as he has done in combat many times, but it finishes with his hand coming up like this.
Love it.
Is the wreckage still there, or is it just him?
It's also now like it's on the same page, so it's just ruined the wreckage flipbook for you. Like you flip through and watch the wreckage, at the end of the wreckage, it's like, hey.
I go, you think this ruins it?
I want to pull a coin out of my pocket and just sort of like touch to the heart, the head, the lips, flick it up, catch it, and just go, "May fortune shine on your soul," and put it back in my pocket. There's a little bit of a prayer.
Smoke will pray to Eldath and ask for forgiveness for all the death that is caused.
Okay, roll D or not.
Oh, those poor, horrible demons.
I really love the idea of talking to gods now because I get to control the gods.
That's 2d100s, isn't it?
No, you need a D10.
What did you roll there?
D10, sorry.
So that one's 40.
And then that one.
A D10.
Dream plane. What's your second one, at least?
46.
Yes, dream plane. You try to contact Eldath and sort of ask for forgiveness, and all you hear is Ruse pretending to be a different voice. And you can tell it's Ruse. He's not really having it. He's just like, oh, it's me, Eldath. You're a bad boy. Naughty kitty.
He no, don't insight. It's better if he doesn't know.
And a light sprinkle of water just like spritzes you in the face. You don't know where it came from, but it's just like.
I start to half roll back into the head before coming to.
You'd also hear another voice that's none that Ruse has done before, and does seem to be the one that was assisting during the combat, and says, "He's not a traveller, by the way." And you closer to your bodies, the heat fades, the air cools, and you re-enter your bodies. Still sweaty, still with your armor and clothes dusty and hot, but you are holding the items that Ruse gave you.
Is he still flipping me off in the book?
The items that the traveller gifted you all. Good luck, adventurers, and that's tonight's episode. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
This will most likely be my last episode for a while, as we'll be moving these games to Wednesday nights so that Cody can continue DMing for the gang. I've had a real lovely time with you all, and I will no doubt skip back in every now and then. Good luck. Good luck in advance, and don't do anything Ruse wouldn't do.
Absolutely.
Well, we await your return.
Just Fountain.
Travel again, you.
Something
fortune
loyal
favour.
to.
Bye-bye.